No, they won't grab tea.
Okay. Well,
Okay. Please. I need it off. Do I need to pull that back down? Whatever you did. Yeah. Yep, perfect. Thanks. Do you really want it dark? I think a bit of light would help.
can I get out of this?
Sorry. Sorry, 1 minute, sorry. Sure you can do it though. There's not all of them, there's little stuff. We'll just yeah. We'll just start. Oh. Can't see. I'm upside down. There we go.
Thank you.
Yep. I've got the mouse.
So time now is 17 past midday. I'm sorry about the Nigerian timing. Thank you so much for turning up into the session today. It's quite likely some other people joining. A bit of a chaos trying to get into some things that lots of the that's going on. But thank you once again for taking the time out to come in here today. The one thing I'd like to quickly jump into is why do I do this? There are lots of people. Would you like some sweets? There are lots of training institutes out there that run courses in IT, business analysis, project management, testing, and UX design. And one of the things that I find with them is that they tend to always hide behind a website. They hide behind they hide behind telephone calls and tell you what they need to tell you rather than what you need to know. So you find yourself most time just going to the website to read out information and then subsequently pay for courses from there. But one of the things that we started to do this year, over the last 3 months, is to go to different pockets of the UK where we'll stand in front of people, showcase and tell them what we do, give them a good idea, a good notion and concept of what we do, give them examples, and have them challenge us, ask us questions. Put them in a place where should you choose to take the next step and take action, at least you know what you're getting into, rather than I've got a website and hiding behind this closed door and you're simply filling in the gaps. And that's just one of the reasons why I do this. I remember I was in London a couple of weeks ago and I had about 70 people in front of me. And I had this lady, she was just saying to me, I've got this degree, I've got that degree, I've got this master's degree, I've been trying to get a job for the last couple of months and nothing's happened, I'm still on 18 grand, what do I do, this and that? And I said, look, I'm sorry, but the employers of today don't really care about your degree. You can have what degrees that it's a momentary, it doesn't make any difference if it's all about the experience. So before I say to you that I can teach you the experience, one of the things I like to do is stand in front of you. And I think on the day I must have had about 40 questions to her. It sat me out. But it was very, very good. It was a very, very good session. And we were very, very honest about it. And so in terms of ways of working, this is your training. Although it's a 12 session, feel free to ask as many questions. I do find instances where people get shy. So I'd say if you're a bit shy, you can write it on a piece of paper or send a text or speak to the lady, but ask as many questions. It only helps you to clear your mind in terms of what you want to do going forward. Mistakes are allowed. With my training, I always say to lots of people that we try to simulate what the real life environment is like. So if we can get as close as we can to an average 95 for business analyst, for project manager, or test analyst, or UX designer, make those mistakes in training, because when you get into the real world out there, you would have polished yourself and fine-tuned yourself into a place where you're just ready to go. Most jobs you see these days would always say, put your CVs out there, come for an interview. If you get the job, you must be ready to hit the ground running. I'm happy for us to disagree in this class. I'll say to everybody, I'm not Albert Einstein, so I don't know everything. So if we ever get to a place where you ask me a question I don't know the answer to, I'll be the first to put my hand up and say, you know what, let's reach a consensus. I'll come back at some stage in the future and we'll resolve it. If it's okay, I know we'll have loved ones. Just mute our phones for a bit. Toilets are just to the far left. Breaks, because the 2-hour session, I really wouldn't want us to go for an interval break, but feel free to grab a coffee downstairs if you want to. In terms of emergency procedures, I'd always say, for the men, God forbid if anything happens, let the women out first. Okay, let's just let the women out first. And we're all a team in here today, so together, everybody achieves more. In terms of what we like to cover, you don't need to have an IT degree to become, say, business science. You don't need an IT degree to even get into IT. A lot of people always hold on to that perception that if I go for this master's degree in this or that BSc in that, then that helps me to get code. It teaches you the theoretical view, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, if I have this, then that is a true pass sign that said if I take this and put this on my CV, I will get that role. That's just one of the myths that we're trying to challenge people with. I'll always use my niece as an example. About a year ago, she was just about to get into university, and she came up to me and said, Uncle, I'd like to go into Manchester University and study this degree in IT. And I said, do you want to do IT? She said, not really, I want to go into something business management like. So I said to her that if I asked you to give me a year of your life, would you listen to me and give me that 1 year? And she said, it depends on what's on offer. I said, look, you're just 19, 20, you've got neighbors that are Chinese, that speak Mandarin. Let's speak to them. You've known them for years, you practically grew up knowing them. Let's see if they can send you off to China, have you learn the language. If you can learn Mandarin, come back and see where to take you. Funny thing is, she took on the advice, my sister got involved, we spoke to the neighbors, and 6 months later, a month later, she went to China, went there for 6 months, came back, was saying some weird stuff. And the funny thing is, we'll put a CV together for a role within ASOS, a marketing analyst, a marketing research role within ASOS. An interesting thing is they gave her the job, £27,000 started, and all they wanted was someone that would be able to go to China and come back on a regular basis. That would help them to interpret their contract and just represent them, even when needed. And she's only just 20 years old and 27K. How many people earn that sort of money? And all because she learns the language. And that's just the practical bits that I'm always trying to make people see that. It's never about how many certifications do you amass. It's about what you just seize at the moment that can just help you to get to the next level. The interesting thing now is she's now gone back to the Open University, studying an online course in business management over the next 5 years. But I've said, look, in 5 years' time, when you finish your degree, you've got a practical side of, working. By the time you finish your degree in 5 years' time, I expect you to leave in this department, even heading it. Who knows, even being on the directors. Nothing should stop you, really. I would say to people, but it's always down to, on the day when you go to that employer, do you have what it takes? Can you prove that you know what it takes to do this job? And unfortunately, not many degrees out there will give you this information. Unfortunately, CVs. How does a CV stand out? A couple of weeks ago, someone sent me a CV user review, and they had about 9 pages. I said, look, I've been in IT for over 12 years now. I've only got a 2-page CV. One that the potential employer can put on the left hand, one they can put on the right, and we simply just talk through it. Everything for me is in simple summary. A lot of my roles are either 2 or 3 bullet points, simple summary. So when I get into the interview room, I can easily stand up and spend 2 or 3 hours walking through all the things I've done over the last couple of years. But how does your CV stand out? And one of the things I will do within our training is we ramp you up with a lot of keywords within analysis, within IT itself. The reason being is information technology is a language in its own. So it's like we found it to go to Germany tomorrow to learn German. It's a new language, so there's some keywords I'll have to start to cultivate. Within IT, it's the same thing. So if you went for, say, a theoretical, if you went for a master's degree, I've got lots of people that have gone for master's degree in IT that have come to me and thought, we never heard of that. Nobody ever thought about this. Nobody ever told us this whilst we're studying it. I'm like, well, you don't expect that to happen. But because within your degree programs, it teaches you things that are very theoretical, things that could be 5, 6 years old. But IT is moving so drastically. There are a lot of things do change every 2 or 3 years. Stop living payday to payday and take control of the financial future. Look at JobServe, for example, total jobs. Within IT itself, they pay so much money. The average role you see is about £250, £300 per day. I would always send challenge people, nothing should stop you from earning that. Nothing absolutely should stop you from earning that. What else can we offer to you apart from business analysis? We do run all this sort of training as well. We'll run through that when I get to the next couple of slides. I think I've spoken about number 5 and 6, but number 6 specifically, which is why it's a bit cheaper to work within analysis, within specific area of IT than going to university. I was at Coventry University a couple of months ago, in mid last year. I was just giving a motivational speech to a couple of students, and they were feeling a bit bad. I was just trying to be honest with them, which is, look, I know that some of you are doing masters, some of you are doing a PhD, but how much does it cost you? 10, 15 grand? You know, if it comes to it, so you pay for this, I'll take you to my mortgage advisor, got you a nice property, you know, being a landlord, rented it out, and yeah, if you still want to go to uni, you can still go to, but at least you have something to show for 15 grand. You know, so for me, one of the greatest things that has really hurt me in this century is the fact that everyone has been screaming education so badly. And it's just reached a stage where people are just going, I was it 2 days ago, they were talking about the average that people owe and how long does it take them to pay back. I think a lot of people are about 44 to 47 grand, and they might actually pay back into the 50 before they even start to do anything. That's a lot of money, and that's not fair. But this is who I am. I've got so many faces. When I was born, my parents decided to call me that name over there, called Olawala. And when I first came to this country, I realized that every time I put Olawala on my CV, it was a barrier to entry. It was from the moment I hit the agency, it would take 5 minutes trying to pronounce my name. And so I changed Olawala and changed it to Ola. And then Ola became, wait a second, are you Nigerian? Because lots of Nigerians are called Ola. So I thought, okay, fine. I'm going to go for my middle name then, and it's Augustine. And then I tried to sex it up a bit. I said it's actually Augustine rather than Augustine. So everyone tried to call me Augustine, and you know, from then I started to get a lot more calls on my CV. You know, I go to an interview, take these 2 things out. I've only got this on my last name, and everyone seems happy. And from there, in most of the roles I did, people started to refer to me as Ross. And so I thought, you know what? Now I'm in Rome. The Romans have now accepted me for who I am, and ever since then I've always been Ross. Feel free to come over, except Chief. My wife calls me Chief. So, but that's who I am. You know, I've got so many names. So one of the things I always try to challenge people is, when I see who you are, see your name and see your CV, there might be some changes that will make, you know. So your email address could be a.b.c, this and that. No, make it sound a bit more accommodating to the employer. They see things like that, they see your first name, they see your last name, and they will make all those things that you've done stand out. If you've got 3 master's degrees, I want to strike all those things out. I wouldn't want you to even show them, because who knows, the potential employer that wants to interview you might not even have more than an A level. We'll have to hide all those things away. You might not like it, but that's me being honest with you. I interview people as well, so there are times where, you know, right in front of you, I just try to strike all those things out. You know, right in front of you, I just want to take them out and ask you the question, what is it that you can do? You know, what can you give to us in this? In terms of who I am and what I've done, these are the sort of companies I've worked with in the past. And I think this slide goes back to, I think, just about 6, 7, 8 years ago. So I used to work with Task Consultants. It's an Indian firm. They own lots of interest in the UK. Bank here, they own Jaguar right now. They've got lots of interest in financial services and partly telecoms as well. I worked with Carphone Warehouse. I did some work with Talk. I worked as a lead business analyst. And I think in 2005, I was part of the team that helped to migrate customers from Tiscali into Talk. So I don't know if there's any for my typical customer there, but it was very painful project. I've done lots of work with offshore and onshore teams. I've worked with lots of people in India, in Malta as well. These are the sort of areas that I worked on when I first started within this aspect of IT. Did lots of things around sales, trying to help companies to increase their revenue by converting customers and increasing their customer base. We did lots of things around marketing, operations, and retention of customers as well. So, and this also included improving their, should I say, the front-end interface, and also give you a good example. If you call Sky tomorrow and say, I want to join as a customer, I want a TV, I want broadband, I want telephone. Back in the days, it would take roughly about 60 minutes, an hour, to start from the beginning to the end to finish that process. Part of my role was to come in and say, if we can slash this to 40% of our time, we're up to about 35, 40 minutes, we'll retain a lot more customers. Because we found that there were lots of people that were getting frustrated, being held up on the queue, waiting for all these other people to finish off with the sales advisors. So these are the sort of things that the chief executive will look at and say, why do we have a high attrition rate whilst people are waiting? Is it because we don't have enough customer service advisors? Or could it be that there are just too many systems or screens that our advisors are looking at? How can we reduce the number of screens? How can we centralize a lot of things and ask less questions and still try to fulfill the legal constraints, the compliance constraints, and still keep them as customers? And these are some of the things that I got myself into. I worked with BSkyB. I was part of the team that rolled out SkyGo on Android and the iPhone in 2008, 2009. I did lots of work around several implementation examples of what I just gave you, which is to reduce the number of interfaces that customer service advisors used. I did some work with BSkyB around Equifax and Experian, and that's implemented. If you want to take out a contract, we have to credit check it. So there's certain things that we'll have to look out for, certain flags that would say, ooh, we're worried about you. Oh, we're fine, or there's some flags that are quite funny here. Or this person used their first name and their last address, they've now swapped to the middle name. How the system helps to determine things like this. We've done lots of work around point of sale, which is how can we just carry that that quite mini device, take it around with ourselves, take payment from customers and on high street shops. And we see lots of Sky people on high street shops, you know. So these are just some of the things that I did back in the days. And then I thought I'll go into I'll go into the BBC, and I got on duty to work in 2012 to roll out a smart TV implementation. Now, whenever I do my slides, people ask me, what does it mean to be a product owner? A product owner is someone within IT that's got a business analysis background, that has an understanding of the systems, but most importantly, has a good understanding of what the board, the directors, or where the company would like to go. What is it that you want to roll out over the next couple of months, and which areas are you trying to touch with? So work with the likes of Sony, Samsung, LG with their TVs to ensure that this smart TV that you see here was watched by millions of people for Formula 1, Wimbledon, 2012, and the Olympics as well. I also did some implementation around that for the Xbox, thank you, and also for PlayStation as well. Okay, thank you. And this is what it looked like eventually when finished. I think the USA won that one. But, okay. And just next door to here, I moved on from the BBC. I think 6 months into my contract, I got bored and tired. I finished all my implementation, I finished all my work then, and I decided to move on and join Argos. They were looking for a solutions architect. They were looking for someone that had some sort of technical knowledge, that had a good understanding of the business needs, that had an understanding of how to manage the technical side of things and drive people to deliver. And I got an opportunity to work with Argos then. And this was just to help them to roll out their new iPad interface, their iPhone interface as well. And we did lots of work around this new keyword now that's called omni-retail, which is how do we ensure that we can sell more to customers through Facebook, through Instagram, through Pinterest, through, we just realized that we're walking, you could have an Argos app on your phone, and we realized that you're walking past an Argos shop. How can we ping you a text message? We'll just let you know that, look, we just realized you're walking past the shop. If we send you this promo code and you take it to the Argos store and choose to purchase, we'll just give you 30% off. Why are we trying to do that? Because we're trying to increase revenue. So these are just some of the things I got myself involved with. And I think this was in mid-2012, mid-2012. And I also then joined Homebase, which is the second company within. It's called Home Retail Group, and it owns Argos, Homebase, and Financial Services. So my role was changed from working as solutions architect in Argos into working in Homebase as a multi-channel project manager. And this also included doing similar things from here within Homebase itself. And some of the things that we rolled out was the plant match app. I don't know what to refer to this as, but it was an iPad app where people could look at different pictures and different content and then purchase whatever they like. So you could go into this sort of section, like that land, it would take you to the website, it would take payments off you, would deliver, or you go and pick up on the from the store. So we did lots of things around login and authentication as well. That means if you have an iPhone device and you have a tablet device and also your PC at home, all you have to do is just log in once, and then you'll be able to go through across all these different sets of devices to fulfill anything you want to fulfill. So we made life easy for you, which is if you have something stored in the basket here, if you come in and log in here, it's still waiting for you. Rather, I'm going to have to try again and put my username and password and then put all those products right into the basket. It's all about trying to centralize and make life easier for customers. And so this is where you're going to introduce yourself. Tell me who you are. You can spend 30 minutes in doing it. What would you like to do, and what are your objectives of the session? What would you like to get that session?
I'm comfort, flavor. At the moment, I'm the social assistant for working with videos.
The video, is that? Okay. And what would you like to get out of the session today?
Okay, I actually want to get knowledge on I want to actually get into IT.
Okay. Great. Have you started your master's already? Or? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I've always studied IT service management, but I haven't got any practical experience. I've been applying for jobs outside the country. So I'm looking for something that will be practical.
When you say business line, which one did you work for? What did you do there?
What I have actually volunteered for is credit union, but that is not IT.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Yolanda. That's my first and only name. I haven't changed my name.
Awesome.
At the moment, I'm working in my husband practice management. So it's not very challenging. It's a little bit boring, and yeah, I like to see my other options for the future. Okay. So I've done quiz too, but I haven't really used it as such. I used to online conferences, so we didn't follow any proper procedure or.
Okay, that's great. It's good to happen too. Awesome. What's also?
Yeah, my name is Olabisi. It's kind of similar to your kind of experience and what kind of partners in big yeah,
I'll suggest that.
well, my background is as environmental consultancy. So I used to work with environment agency until last month.
Okay.
Kind of technical stuff. Okay. I do a bit of project management in there as well, so I've got exposure to doing this management.
Okay.
So,
How long did you say you did that for?
you mean
The project aspect?
it was a year, but before then I was kind of combined with my whole of them, so that was just kind of
Okay.
but it kind of got to the point where I kind of had to know where to go to, so I needed prunes to so I kind of had to decide to start a new career because it was more like I said, pay. So, yeah, so I moved into PMO analyst, which I started. It's called Guns and Video.
Okay.
They're based in Cambridge. So what they do is more IT, software, technology. Okay. So I do the PMO analyst. I just started.
So you especially like the project managers.
Yeah, pretty much. Most of our pretty much are actually abroad. It's kind of networking. Okay. European Commission. So we kind of work with about So I kind of use the goal. So I kind of understand what you do want. But I mean, this today is actually speaking what I kind of understand. Basically, put myself with further tools because the market is up in different areas and
Absolutely.
So that's.
I like the fact you said make it so versatile. Funny thing is, in the last 2 days, 2 working days, Thursday, Friday, I was actually working at the test analyst, within our organization because we were running short of resources. I thought, what, this 2 days I'm practically free. I'm done with my reporting. I'm in a good place in terms of what I need to do for the next week. And just to get access to test manager, start checking into the requirement that we're trying to deliver. Nothing stops that. So it can be a PM today, test analyst tomorrow, practitioner requirements the next day. Looking at what's happening in service delivery the day after, nothing should stop that. And that's part of what IT is asking for this day, which is we have to be very, very hybrid in this. So in terms of one of the things that we teach people with is the fact that we are very pronounced around business analysis or project management doesn't mean that we teach you software testing or UX design. We mix all those things together because by the time you blow up your CV and you sit in front of an employer, what that's implemented is you're saying to them that, look, I'm cool in this, but you know what, I can do all these other bits as well. So it's almost 3 or 4 things that I can do for the price as well.
I'm Lucy from Genesee.
Okay. I like Missy.
So, I'm a program planner for starting with Brooklyn on Monday.
Okay. Is it a contract?
As a contract. I've always been with. I've always been contracted. I don't like to call it job.
What is that?
It's not motivated to engineering. I don't do politics.
And it's non-committed.
Exactly. So I don't believe that any job is secure. So why not just go into contracting and make the best of it? So I came from an IT background, computer science, masters in system security and information. Done my Prince 2, MSP, software testing in UPA. I've gone on training on business analysis for testing as well, IPS.
Okay.
So user case, NFRS, FRS, and all those documents. I worked with them and all that. But I wanted to kind of have good insights because I know all this, but actually the practicality of it, I wanted to go into it because of the sort of software that they use in actually drawing all their user languages and all the names together. So I've got books on it, I'm reading it, 5 bars in it, and just want to get more out of it because I want to go into project management through business planning, business analysis, because it's better. Just being flexible, more flexibility for myself in the market, really.
The question for yourself is flexibility on how will all the things come together.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Who's doing that?
Olutayo, well, I'll just say I'm a novice now because I've not had any practical experience and I'm not into IT accountant. So I'm just saying, which way I can give myself in another career.
Looking into going to jobs, right? One of the things I say to people is, have to hear what we do and do some other research with other people as well. Nothing stops from going to jobs with themselves. Let me just put it in. Title project manager, or title business analyst, and then keyword. I've got ACCA, for example. Or they can do just put in maybe ACCA and see what comes out. Then the roles will come out. So the funny thing is, within certain accountancy firms, they're always looking for people that got the analysis skills to help them to merge the business thinking with what they want to roll out from a technology perspective. And that's the beauty about business analysis. You can usually work in different facets of so many companies. I like you to remember this figure, £3.25. I'll come up to it. So, stakeholders. You are my stakeholders. It's part of my job to ensure that you're here, I keep you happy. If we choose to all start this journey, and if you choose to, when you start this journey, start to work in the future, you meet all these different stakeholders. You see people that will come to you by stealth, they're called ninjas. Last minute, they'll bring some requirements to you. You've been chasing them for weeks, but you know what? Last minute, on the Friday at 4:30, they'll come to you. How do you deal with it? That's not to stop the fact that this same person, the previous day, was screaming at you on a conference call. Or was making you look stupid the previous day as well. How do you deal with all those things? These are the different faces of stakeholders. They could even come to you as a clown, and we'll never discuss is why are you coming up with this nonsense today? One of the painful bits about being a business analyst is you're in between a lot of different sets of people. How do you balance yourself around all of them? In here, a group of people that are referred to as the business analyst. There are times when you have to work by yourself. There are times when you have to work in a team of people. What are you trying to do? You're trying to pull out streams of information from your stakeholders, magnify that information, and then push it back out to them to sign up. I can speak to you for 2 minutes, get us 2 thin lines, go away for a couple of days, put some processes together, draw a couple of bits, write some scripts, document in a very, very nice way, and push everything back to you to sign up. How am I going to ensure that I keep you happy? And it's an aggressive culture, and they're always looking for people that are 1, committed, 2, that can communicate well, and 3, that can compromise. I would always refer to those things as my 3 C's. If you hear this in any unit tomorrow, please call me. It's not come from any unit. It's just come from some of the things that I've learned along the way. And this is how I choose to see it. You're the conduit in between the business side and the technology side. There are times where you be a business analyst that's working for the business strictly. You're trying to capture the requirements and just throw them overboard to another type of business analyst in the IT side of things, who is just more of a systems analyst. You could be working on the IT side, representing the IT, but going to the business side to capture the requirements. The requirements I'm referring to here are just simple information. It could be that they have this beautiful page where they capture information about their customers, and all they want is they want to add 2 or 3 more text boxes into it to capture more information. That's what they need you for. And all you have to do is send an email. Hello, my name is Bissy. I'm the new business analyst who just joined the team today. I understand that you are my stakeholders that I need to catch up with. I've checked your calendar. I said that you're free in the next 2 days. Can we all just converge into a meeting room like this together? Let me just understand these 3 boxes that you want. When you want them to be delivered, how? Do you need certain colors? Let me just ask you a couple of questions. These are and attached to this meeting request I'm sending you is my understanding of what we do so far, which is the current state of things. And let's just catch up and see what that future state of things will look like. These are the sort of things I will run you through. Okay? So as the business analyst, you're the conduit. You're trying to make things happen. You're trying to think outside the box. Who says you cannot win that way? Who says that you have to always do things this way? It could be that when Milton Keynes, I want to go to Manchester, and someone is saying to you, I need you to come to Manchester. You might have to start asking the question, why do I have to come to Manchester? When do I need to come to? What am I coming to do? And through, pushing and asking all of these different types of questions, you'll actually find out, what, I actually need to come to Manchester. We can do this over a conference call. But wait a minute, maybe you could actually come to Milton Keynes. Okay? Any questions so far? Everybody happy? I'm not scared. As a business analyst, you're surrounded by all these different stakeholders. And never be scared. Never say, oh, there are about 30 different people I've got to deal with on a day-to-day basis. There will always be people that will help you along the way. One thing I would always say to people is, depending on your confidence level, I'll just never suggest to throw you out there. So there are people that have started to contract amongst us here that can say, you know what, it's easy for you to keep doing what you're doing. If we see a bigger role for you, because you're in the industry already, there's certain ways in which I know that you can do yourself when you're out there. But if it's your first time whilst you're doing this, one of the things I'd say is, when that job spec comes through, send it to me. Let me have a look at it. And I'll say, yeah, thumbs up, but let's stick to a permanent role first. Give yourself 6 months to 12 months. Understand all the different principles that we're going to talk about. Embed yourself in properly before you choose to go out there and maybe ask for that next money or go for that next role. But, just immerse yourself into it. But these are the sort of different people that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. And they're not scary people. They're people that just sat next to you. And it's always down to, this is information, we're clarifying, we're verifying, we're validating, we're documenting, we're signing off, and we're pushing over to the other side. And then on the other side, we're clarifying again, do you understand what we want on this side? Can you just confirm to me that you understood them? Can you sign up and then go and build? When they build, we'll come and clarify again through testing, we'll look at what they delivered, and then we'll bring it back to the business side. Is this what you wanted? And it's just on and on. It's a repeatable cycle. I don't know if you've heard of this before. It's called a standard report. It's a report that looked at projects that were delivered between 1999 and 2009, and it said for all of those different projects, 24% failed. 24% failed to meet what the business wanted. For the 4% of them were challenged, 32% of them succeeded. For me, these two bits here are just wrong, and that's all the business analyst. The people that can always go back and clarify. The one thing I've always done as a BA, when I used to work as a BA, is I would always push my stakeholders to a stage where they say, look, Goss, we're going to sign up. We've signed up. We've told you already. This is exactly pushing to a stage of frustration, which is, I'm just going to keep coming back to be sure this is what you want. And every time I do that, the more you come back, the more they pull out new things that they never thought about. The more they look at, oh, that's another scenario we never thought about. Average salaries of business analysts in London. This is something I put on the total job, so feel free to check out. So it might have changed. This is something I thought about 3 months ago. So
Is that
permanent role. The contract role, so these are the sort of areas that total jobs pulled out to me. So this is permanent as well. And that's the sort of areas, Manchester, London, Northern, a lot of financial interest, Birmingham. And then for contract, this is the contract one. I don't think I've got a view for contracting. This view here, I don't think I have one for contracting. But feel free to check and talk to there. I don't want to do them sort of.
I just didn't realise.
It's minimum. Oh, yeah, it starts from about 35, 40 to about 70. There's some that I'll just say, I mean, the company I used to work for back in the days, but it was a small company. They were paying me, just one of my first couple of roles I started, about 24K in Reading. It's called Abacus or something. But I tell you what, on any given day, they taught me everything that I knew. I was working as a PM today, chasing as a tester tomorrow, sat down with developers to, work on some SQL queries the next day. So for me, it was never about how much am I earning, it's about what am I learning, because from there, it just propelled me. My next role was like almost double that quickly. So it really depends on you. But I always say, if you've never done this sort of thing before, go for something moderate that would help you to gain all these different views and experience, and then shoot out there to do truth. At times I say to agencies, look, if you're going to call me for less than this amount, please don't bother my phone. I'm not going to do it. If it's a full-time and less than this, if it's a contract or if it's less than this, but they don't call my phone, I'm not going to pick it up. I'll let you sit down on this next question. Permanent role, gather functional requirements. Just gather the information from the business. Collaborate with your business stakeholders via email, with a cup of coffee, UI, user interface. We'll talk you through this and teach you this, which is the visual. What is it that we're trying to build and how does it look like now? How is it going to look like later? And are you happy with the changes that we've documented? And that's just what that first line is still talking about. It talks about and testers to identify. So developers, so you're going to be able to deal with all these different people. The interesting thing about developers is, and this is not even me being ready to fight. If you think about the Indian culture, everything they say is yes. If they don't understand it, you ask them the question, do you understand it? They say yeah. Do you understand it? Yeah. Okay, fine, play it back to me again. And then you start to see the pay forward. So I always try to do that, which is fine. I'll send this thing to you guys by email. I'll give you about 2 hours to review it. Do you understand it? So what I would usually document in English, I'll then have to transfer it to processes or boxes or circles or arrows and different sort of bits that would help the graphical view. I love graphical. I love to paint stuff. It's so bad that even when I'm doing the budget of the house, I'll move away from Excel and start to paint and draw. I just love stuff graphical. I'm just like that. But for me to always ensure that that understanding is well valid. How extra? What other artifacts am I using to ensure that we understand what we're trying to deliver? Okay. So creating user stories, we'll talk about all these sort of things. Creating functional spec documentation. I'll show you some examples that I brought along with myself in the manual that we'll use. Ability to assess customer interactions and use cases. A lot of companies don't even teach use cases. Believe me, the first day that you sit down myself, I will drown you on this. You hate yourself at the end of the day. The second Saturday, we'll drown you on this as well because it's so important. Customer interaction is very, very good for me because the thing is, we actually do all this and I realize that. I'll show you an example of the shopping experience, and we'll look at different customer interactions. And this is what they're paying for the park in Lancashire. That's in Manchester. This sort of role in London will be maybe 50, 55, 60 grand. Nothing should stop you if you really, really commit to this process from our road. I will say.
I think some of the problems people with us is actually more soft skills. A lot of things in there actually got to do with interactions, which sometimes people might find it's the full
Instantly.
exactly, or even like eye contact to the not really kind of eye contact. In a sense,
Okay. Let me pick up on that. So let me pick up on that. And it's really raise that point. And you might not believe this, but when I came into this country in 1998, my first role for the first 2 years was to work as a security guard. I said, I used to work as a security guard in Tesco, and I would stand there for 18 hours all day. If you'd heard my English then, my Nigerian, you'd have been scared. But one of the things I did was, this is the next level I would like to get myself to. What do I need to start to do? First thing is, I used to live in Dalston. I had to move away from Dalston. I had to move away from my Nigerian friend because all we spoke was the same thing I left behind. I moved to Kilburn. I was the only Nigerian on the street in Cavendish Road. Then amongst lots of Irish, I'll go to the Irish pub. I had lots of Irish friends. Then I moved to Slough. And from then I started to change my head, started to improve myself. My soft skills that confidence started to build. And that's the one thing I say to people, that to commit to this process, you have to take a good look at yourself in the mirror. Which is, for me to communicate better, for me to push myself from where I am to where I'd like to be, to where I'd like to be, what are the sort of bits that I need to do? And those are the things I try to challenge people. It's not easy. It took a year. It's not easy. And there are times I go into meetings and I'm like, what do I say? And some of the things I do is on conference call, for example, I'll write everything out and read everything out in the conference call. If it's a meeting I'm going to, I'll write my pointers out. I'd rather you come with all those bits, read them out to me and say, look, these are the sort of things I'd like to talk to you about. I've got that on page 2, and sometimes as I'll print out my documentation, but mine will be a lot more information because I'm reading out whilst you're looking through the same paperwork. So there'll be that extra line I'll put in there, which is talking through this or read this out to them. So they're nodding. These are the sort of possible questions we'll ask you. You've got the answers already. You've got the answers. So it's those are the sort of ways in which I used to build myself. And one of the things that we say within our training is, if you need that confidence boost, we're always happy for you to come up with what I refer to as a refresher. It's not something we'll charge for. It's something where I'd say, I know you have a decent lifestyle. I know that you're trying to improve on your soft skills. Come back and listen and again. Come back and re-challenge yourself. Have no extra call, because that's the only way you're going to really get yourself off it. So you just listen to those practicals. This is what I refer to as my training analogy. 2 mice fell into a bucket of cream. 1 mouse quickly gave up and drowned. The second mouse simply wouldn't give up. It struggled so hard, eventually turned the cream into butter and then crawled out. With my training, there are people that I'll find, there are stakeholders that I'll find that will like to be spoon-fed. I like to spoon-feed people. That's my type of delivery approach. We'll have a second trainer that doesn't like to do that. She will push you in a different way. So you'd have 2 different views, or 3 different views. There are people that want to interview you and prepare you for a role. It won't be myself, it won't be somebody else. But when you look at what I'm referring to, there are people that say, you know what, gosh, I want to come up for a refresher. I want to come up for a refresher again. If you come back for a second refresher, I'm cool with it. The moment you do the 3rd time, then it's almost a case of you're being that mouse that you really don't want to go out and start to apply, or you really don't want to see the concept that we're trying to deliver here. Or maybe I should start to ask this analysis or UX design, is this really for you? Because for me, it's important to know that you paid for a course. I'll passionately train you up, but you've got to put that commitment into it. There are people that would always like to hang behind. So the time when people ask me the question, out of every 20 people that come for a training, what's your success rate? The first thing I say is down to commitment. If 20 people commit, then I would say 100%. But 50% of those people commit, then I would say 50%. So it's really down to myself, but also down to you as well. Okay? Any questions so far? Why us? We wrap around lots and lots of practical work experience, especially around things that we've done in the past. That is always an easy one for me. One, because I run what's it called? I interview people. I've been through quite a few interviews as well. Because I interview people, I know the sort of things that I'm looking at. And I know the sort of response that I expect from you. But because we start to build this language together, all this sort of different, what I refer to as keywords, it helps you to start to speak in a certain and different way. And then we have different projects that we run, especially around marketing, customer experience, payment, telephony. There are people that come to us and say, look, I already work within business analysis, but I see that this is the new area, e-commerce, for example, mobile and tablet solutions that are the big things in JobServe. When can you give me a one-on-one training that will help me to plot that gap? Or look at my calendar and say, well, this is the best time in which I can do this. Okay, so these are the sort of things that we've worked on in the past. We've simulated lots of different practical experience around this. still asking the question, why us? And there's some things that I know you mentioned and you come across in the past. Some of those things I'm sure you start to see here. And these are the sort of areas where you start to hang all those things together. We use Jira. There's also another one called TFS. We use TestFlight. And we use Visio. We don't really use Omnigraph, especially it's only for those who go at Mac, but it's quite similar to Visio. And it helps you to map processes. So it helps you to look at the information that you capture from the business and simply draw them out in a different format that they can appreciate from the graphical view and sign up. We'll look at different delivery methodologies. The big one out there now is Agile. I'm an Agile evangelist. I'll usually talk Agile all day before Waterfall. But I always talk Waterfall as well because there's some projects out there where it's only Waterfall that work best. And there's some projects, even within the government agency, a lot of them use Agile right now. As I said, we do lots of things around interview preparation. So there are lots of questions I will run through. But on that given day, we'll ask you to come in your suit. It's a very, very serious business. We'll start finding some questions, or we'll expect you to respond back in this way. And that helps us to gauge, are you ready to go out there, or should we give it a couple of weeks more to do? Okay? And we'll give references as well in terms of these are the sort of things that you've done with us. And we'll start to push you out, start to encourage you to push you out there. So, why us again? The difference is we try to infuse the commercial understanding. A lot of people have the believers, but believe me, seeing is believing. These are the sort of training dates that we have. It's usually run on the weekend. Now, because I know that people work, they've got busy lifestyle and busy schedule, we'll usually run on 4 Saturdays. Although I've set one webinar session here, I'll usually throw out more than that. 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday. But when you think about it, it's easy for you guys. Not 60% of the time you sat down, I'm stood here and you're talking through. No, you're not, because every hour we'll have a 5 minutes coffee break. Every 3 hours we'll try and go for some. Yeah, we'll go for another 15 minutes. So we'll have 30 minutes off. It's quite intense. It's a lot that will cram in, and then next Saturday we'll do the same thing. Next Saturday we'll do the same thing.
Same thing. Okay.
Why do you think we do this? If you're a contractor and want to go into a role tomorrow, I'll give you an example. When I joined Argos, just a couple of blocks away, I joined on Tuesday. By Friday, I'd written a 300-page functional requirements document. I had to hit the ground running. It would stress you, would push you, would frustrate you. There are times I make it look stupid. There are times I might even raise my voice. Do you know why? Why? Because that's exactly what happens in the industry. We simulate all those things. Okay? So it's a lot. 8 hours is a long time, but believe me, we'll carry and pull you along the way.
Why don't you say 4 Saturdays?
Yeah.
And 4 Saturdays, are you covering business and system analysis, the first one, user experience, the second one, and project management?
So,
like, do you have a structure model that you follow?
we have a structured model around business analysis, and it touches on all these areas. Okay, because I know that it's almost impossible to say, you know what, for this whole training, I'm going to do all of project management. We'll wrap all these things around it. Now, one thing I don't like to teach is project management. I just don't believe that. Why? Because I think you're better off as a business analyst and then going into project management, rather than you want to be a project manager first. The best project managers, for me, honestly, are business analysts. The best business analysts are testers. And that's why we also throw a bit of testing into it.
This is more how it's going. Even if it's other problems. I mean, you say, I mean, maybe working with our agencies you don't need to be there. I mean, you might go.
Yeah.
Yes, but I mean, what you're saying is more.
I'd say more IT industry focused, but as something I said initially as well, a couple of slides ago, which is you can use business analysis within an industry. It's really and truly is always down to what do you want delivered, how and why.
Maybe I shouldn't say necessarily more focused on IT change.
In your profile, you mentioned about flexing as a solution architect. Are you going to be flexing as well? Because as
Solution architecture is something I try not to teach because it's quite deep.
I know, because I was trying to understand how you could easily actually flex into solution architecture with more design. And then, no, I'm just trying to understand that. Is it something that is going to be wrapped up or at least a things like well in the business analysis? Because it's 2 different roles.
As a solution architect.
Yeah.
I wouldn't teach that. It's not a sort of thing I would wrap into this, but I would touch on systems analysis, which is almost a bridge into solution architecture. So, for example, I could be talking about a specific button on a page, From the business analyst perspective, all you want to do is to capture the requirements around where this button will fit on the page and what the function of that button will be. Let's expand on this a bit. Actually, let's go for a simple one, which is username and password. That's a box, right? And then password. Another box, and then we have the submit button. Yeah. I want to enter my username. As a business analyst, what are the requirements in capturing around this? But what is it that the business wants? They want maybe, should I say, alphanumeric, something that would have letters and numbers in it. They don't want special characters, or maybe they want one special character could be an underscore or hyphen. Assuming. For password, they want something similar. But whenever this information is entered, they want it to be masked. What else could they ask for? They want a minimum set of username. Maybe minimum set is 4 characters, maximum 30. You could have some password. Now, all these are requirements in capture. Now, I'm sure I've done about 10 or 15 already. Just like that. If I start to take all these little bits. And then the submit button. Will this be enabled without us putting information in here? Definitely not. When I put some information in here and then clarified information, this should be enabled, which is ready for submission. That's a business analyst view. A UX designer would say, what do you want this box to look like? A rectangle? Do you want some colors around it? Okay? And do you want it to be white on the inside or gray on the inside? Yeah? And when you're masking all this information, do you want them in X's or do you want them in round dots? That's a UX designer. I would add this into the training as well. All these requirements are captured from a tester's perspective will also be looked into. But what did you just ask me? Actually about solution architecture. Before I get into that, let me talk about the bridge between systems analysis and solution architecture. Whenever this username is entered and this password is entered, a systems analyst's view will be, you know what? Do we need to do some sort of validation around it on the server side? Which is, do we go into the back end and say, is this username correct? Should we do an inline validation immediately, or should we wait until we hit the submit button? Okay? And then there's something that is referred to as sequence diagram. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. A sequence diagram will say, when the username is entered, and the password is entered as well, username and then the password is entered, go into the backend system and do a check. If it's a yes, it's passed, come back, and then take them into the next page. Sorry,
I was going to say that the documents I've seen, the DAs actually do the link of the back-end systems and show it in the diagram.
So that's where we have to be careful, because there's so many different roles out there that will say, no, we want a business analyst that will be able to capture functional. We want a business analyst that will be able to capture functional and technical. That's not just a BA, that's almost a BA/technical analyst. And that's why I said to you initially a couple of slides ago that when you start to apply for roles, I'll always do one thing. Look at the job spec. Okay? There's only so much I could teach, but it depends on the companies. There are lots of companies that will say, you know what do you want a BA/PM? We want a BA, PM, and even a tester, all of one, and they'll say £600 per day. They want someone to be able to do everything with absolute detail. Yeah? Does that answer your question? But from a solutions architect's view, it goes way past just the sequence diagram, because this is all open until systems analysis. The solution architect will look at the entire system and say, what are the things that we can change to make this happen in different ways? I'll look at this, now that's just a BA. As a solution architect, I would say, now, where are we logging in from? I want to trigger, I want to go back to the precondition. What will lead me to this page? Now, could it be that when I logged into the computer, I put in a username and password and enter, and then it booted up the system? If I'm the owner, if I'm the user of that computer as of that point in time, then I shouldn't be asking you to enter your username again. I should automatically pre-populate the username in here and make it uneditable. Does that make sense? Because I'm thinking of the security aspect as well, from a solutions perspective. And then all I'm prompting you to enter is your password. Now, you can log into your Windows PC, or you want to enter, you want to open up this application, you can have a different password for it within your PC. So I'll leave this open for you to play with. And then there's also going to be something which says, you know what, you can't remember your password, go and reset it. I'll start to think about all the bits that link to the backend solution. Does that help?
Yeah.
I do teach solution architecture, but what I say to people is the only time when I teach it is when you come from my BA training, you started to work for maybe a couple of months or maybe at least a year. Then you can come for solution architecture. It's a bit of a headache. I don't have to go on that. The only difference is for anyone that's never been into IT before, there's a fifth Saturday session that adds in that little bit of testing, which is I've never done IT before, will propel you from a different perspective as well, and touch on lots of different foundational aspects. And that's the fifth bit. And that's the only difference between I've got IT background, I have an understanding of, I've used some PC, I've done some bits here, I've seen some applications, or I haven't. Okay? This is what I refer to as a wireframe. So you could capture information from your stakeholders, write everything out. They can say, look, I will want a new payments details page. That will be able to capture one-off payment, monthly payment, capture some billing details. Now, there is something within IT that's referred to as a UX design. We teach UX design within our training as well. But the difference between a UX designer and a business analyst is the business analyst, I'm just referring to them as BA, will document requirements from the stakeholders. So you can be my stakeholders, I'm just capturing information from you. A UX designer will do this sort of thing. Let me just use this word, annotate, which is to draw the sort of things. So both of you could be sat in a room together. Whilst I'm capturing information I want me to take to the technology team to deliver, you are drawing all those things out, which is, if I want a one-off payment, do you want a box that will be able to say, if BC can't pay, for example, she should be able to pass the phone over to her husband, who is a third party, that will to make a payment on her behalf. The UX designer will put that box in whilst they're talking to us. The business analyst will capture the information and document it. It says a caller is third party, permission has been granted from owner. Does that make sense? Yeah. The solution architect will go further, which is whenever I check this box, what is happening to the backend system? What is triggering what in the backend? What is this page talking to in that real time? The mandatory fields in here. You can be writing all these things out, which is the card type, the card number, the name of the card, expiry, issue number, and security code are all mandatory fields that have to be captured from the customer. The UX designer will put in all these boxes in, which is for card number 1, 2, 3, 4, which is four number digits each. I, the solution architect, would even challenge them and say, why do we need these 4 boxes? Why can't we just have one box that will capture a minimum of 16 digits? Who knows, in future we could start to have cards that take up to a maximum of 20. How much extra money is it going to cost us to build that now? It's just to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I could challenge that. But as a business analyst, you're not allowed to. You just want to capture the information of the business wants. The UX designer will put all those 4 boxes in, and it says X numbers left. What does that mean? The moment the customer advisor is taking payment details from the customer, it is counting down how many card number digits are left. A lot of all these things we do on a day-to-day basis without realizing it. And one of the things that this course will help you to do is to wrap a lot of all these things I do on a day-to-day basis within business analysis and help you to go out. These are some of the things that we're familiar with. The funny thing I always say to people is if you have an iPhone or an Android device, download some apps and start to play with them. You know, and see how these things happen. If I push this button here, what happened? Does it bring me to this view page? Does it take me to another page? And how can I go back? If I hit this button, does it bring me back to this page? Does it take me back there? You know, what are the sort of things that we're looking out for? The UX designer will put all these things together. The business analyst will document all these things in words. And that's just the main difference. Any questions so far? When it comes to questions that you're asking from your stakeholders, what do you want? Why do you want it? When do you want it? How do you want it? Where do you want the data to be stored? Who is responsible for these aspects of payment? Who is the payments manager? Who is the compliance manager? Who is the customer experience manager? I need to sit down with a customer service advisor with front-end staff to understand how they capture payment details, how they speak to customers, how they do these bits and do those bits. Who is it that I need to speak to? What is it that you want and why do you want it when? As a business analyst, those are the sort of questions you ask. It might sound difficult, yes it is. It is difficult, but the moment you commit to it, start to make it easier. The moment you commit to the 10 to the 6 p.m. it starts to make it easier.
I just think,
Sure.
awesome. For me, are these very good?
Oh, we'll make that happen. We'll compromise on that. What does it say? Shopping experience. I'd like you to call it a few things today. If we go to Tesco, for example, what is the first thing we do when we walk into Tesco?
Trolley.
What?
Get the trolley.
Ah. Another one for trolley? Anybody help me? Thank you. Basket. And this is walk-in, I just said, yeah? Which is walk-in. Would you agree with me that if I went online to shop as well on Tesco.co.uk, you're also picking up an electronic trolley? We're on the same page here. So this is walk-in physically. This is online. And you'd agree if I called the contact center and said I wanted to order a few bits, I'm also picking up a trolley.
So if you go online, you have to log in first, and then you start the password.
I like that. So there's a precondition there, which is to log in. Okay. Log in, did you say? I'll challenge that in a second, but I'm happy you said that. So if there was a company that says we need 3 business analysts, one that will work within the contact center, one that will work within what do you refer to physical center, the shop and the grocery shop itself, and one that will work on the online space. All you 3 will be capturing similar requirements, but these are where the differences come into it. Because online, you have to log in. I said I'm going to challenge that, but you have to log in. The reason I'm going to challenge it is, do I need to log in to browse and search?
No, it is after when you want to pay, you log in.
Ah, so
When you want to add to the basket, log in.
You can't put anything in the basket unless you log in first.
And they modified it now. Sorry, because we are not great.
I think it's an upgrade because back in the days, you can put as many things as you want.
Yes.
No, because the first thing they ask you is to be delivered to your postcode, and you have to enter.
No, I understand. That's
You can try.
Because I've done it before, and it was just adding, and when you're about to check out, then it tells you, please log in. And
I think that's a new thing because up until last year, November
yeah.
2013, you could go as far as placing items in your basket without being challenged to log in.
I still did it yesterday and I had to log in.
Which is good. So what am I trying to say to you? It could be that between now and now, so in April, let's just say February 14th, we hire a business analyst and say, look, there's a new change we want to our system. We want you to come and capture some information of the changes that we want, that we need you to take to the technology team, make those changes, and we want to make those changes live by March. And this is the future state. This is where we are now, which I refer to as the 2B. From, say, as is. You'll pay someone £400 per day to come and capture that minimum set of data for 6 months. Does that help anyone? Right. Have a look at this. This is something I put together a couple of days ago. The same thing we just done now. It talks about, you know what, if you guys choose to come to my channel, I'm going to have to speak to you guys apart. Customer shopping experience. It could be walking in, it could be online, it could be contact center. But there could be a business rule that says, you know what, we're happy for you to put stuff in the basket before you log in. There could be a business rule like that. But the business rule can also be superseded by saying, if it's an online journey, before you put stuff in the basket, to keep the 2 ladies there happy, you have to log in first. Logging in means what? You have a username and password. And if you don't have that, that means you have to do what? You have to register. So we'll need another business analyst that will be our registration business analyst. So we need to go and speak to them. Have you captured the requirements so that we'll know what to plug into from our perspective, because I'm the login and authentication business analyst. And we'll also have another business analyst that manages the basket area, which is when you put items in the basket, it increases. Sorry.
So just a bit.
No, yeah. There are lots of business analysts out there. You got payments business analysts, you got customer experience business analysts. No, you could just, payments alone is massive. You've got different payment methods out there. They could say, look, we don't want to be taking American Express anymore. Lots of companies don't want it. It takes about 28 days for the payment to come into their copies. One start taking PayPal, Maestro debit card, credit card, MasterCard, Visa. There are different payment methods out there.
Yeah.
Have a look at this page here.
Yeah, I know. I'm just going from a business perspective.
There are loads of VAs and they all have their specialty and they affect that. Because when a project manager, when they go to their facility and to their team leader to say, this is the kind of project that we want to do, who are the guys that are skilled in payment or that basket, then they use that to give you the.
That's why if you look on job service, it could be specific they're looking for or just generic.
I'm just thinking about downtime. I think I mean, it isn't like whether it's the work. You put it there, just walking around and working to do the next 2 hours. Like, what's going on?
That's always, I mean, for people that come from my trade, 1 hour working on, and that's why I give the example yesterday, which is the last 2 days I was working with Tesla. Well, my role is a PM, but why not? Some people might look at it and think, oh, no, I'm still like I'm doing it. And I don't see it that way. Make yourself useful. Add value. That's for me the most important thing. You know, these are different departments as far as I'm concerned. You've got the payments department, your finance department, your customer experience, you've got fulfillment that manages delivery and location. You've got stock control department. You've got product departments as well. These are different departments within a company. So without realizing it, all these other things we do already. As a customer, you walk into a store, you pick up a basket, you start to put products into it. And the only way you have products is if this product is in stock. You go to a specific category, which is, okay, fine, I need to go to the dairy section to pick some milk. You walk over there, or you go online and, okay, you can either browse or you put a search criteria and milk, and then it will return a couple of things to you, which you then start to select from. These are the sort of things that we'll do without realizing. And then if you're home, you put a location, which is, I want you to deliver to me. And what do you have to do? You have to put in a valid postcode. If you don't put in a valid postcode, what happens? We can't reach you. This is assuming you've registered and you've logged in already. What if you haven't done that? We can't serve you. So there's some specific rules that you have to follow before we can sell to you. Any questions? Marketing department, promotion, buy one, get one free. So they have to keep looking at a product every time. Oh, this is about to expire in the next 3 or 4 years. Let's roll it out and put buy one, get one free. So if you just make some more money, or else we'll have to throw this into it. Okay. All right, what do I have here? Ooh, what's this referring to? So, okay. A chief executive comes up and says, over the next 2 years, I want the customer base to be increased by 30% over the next 2 years. He says that to his board of directors. And the board of directors are responsible for different aspects of all of these things. Each specific director will now go to the project managers or their assistant directors and say, look, this is what the CEO wants. So we need to increase customers by 30%. We need to increase orders by, that means we need to increase orders by 30%. We need to take more payments by 30%. We need to make more deliveries. Everything that's filtered from the top has got to filter to the bottom. And that's where jobs will go mad, which is we need a BA for this, we need a BA for that, we need a PM for this, we need a tester for that. Because everybody will now start to look at all the different systems that are used and try to see what they can either slice or improve, look at where they are now, which is their current as is current state, and see what they can do to improve and push for that 30%. Really and truly, that's how projects kick off.
As a VA, do they employ, I mean, if that's the issue, and then you go in, they expect you to contribute to how we can get that 30%.
So we've got to be careful here, and I'll get to where the role of the BA kicks in. There are analysts out there that do feasibilities on behalf of directors and behalf of all the companies. A lot of them start off as BAs and go into sort of roles like that. They're not really BAs. But if you're an exceptional BA that has subject matter expert knowledge, they can pull you into sessions like that. So I don't think at that level of referring to you as a BA. You'd be on that sort of level of a director or assistant or product owner because you have an understanding of the product, you know what they want from it. I mean, for example, I was working at the BBC. I knew exactly what they wanted because they pulled me into sessions like that. This is what we want in 6 months' time. These are the target audience that I want. Just go away and deliver. And you know, this is how much you have for it. Does that help? So we can have a vision. The vision is an idea, is a notion, is a concept of where I would like to get to. I want you guys to ensure that we make it happen. Okay? That vision will take a shape. We'll quantify the 30% increase over the next 2 years. By 2016, this is what I'd like us to be. We'll look at the sort of things that will ensure that we'll get there, which is we'll look at the heat maps, all these different areas, something has got to give. Which areas do we need to go to? If you really think about it, if it's down to customer specific, a lot of all these areas will be affected. Then, when we start to build it, how do we roll it out? We've got 2 years, so say from about 18 months from now, once the project is about to finish, we've got about 6 months, so we need to start to plan what that rollout will look like into the production environment. And then we'll just roll it out to production. And then we'll ask ourselves some questions. What are we looking to achieve? So we'll start to ask that question around all those different pockets. Sorry about that, guys. Ideas. Throw some ideas at you in terms of how we get to this 30%. From a payments perspective, or from a marketing perspective, to increase our 30%, do we plug into Facebook, into Instagram, into Pinterest, into Twitter to sell my products? Do we start to accept all these other type of payment plans? Do we even include a credit service where we can say, just buy now and you pay later? That would help us to increase our margin. You know, what can we do to ensure that we make more money? There's some projects I've kicked off already that is trying to align to this view. If not, let us start to look at all those things. The question is asking here is it aligned with strategy and architecture? So a lot of us drive here. If we really think about it, we have like a Nissan Micra, and you want it to start to go as quick as America. What do you do to the Nissan Micra? You have to empty, turn to a shell, put a new engine into it, put some brake pads into stronger brake pads, stronger shock absorber. Will the current system that we have in the company now, will it hold if we go by 30% more? The answer is no. We'll have to build new databases that will accommodate for 30% more, maybe even more than that. Because we can plan for 30%, we can get 50%. We've got to look at all the different systems that we have. We'll have to look at our call center. Do we need more people to take more phone calls? Do we even need a better telephony system that will be able to transfer a lot quicker? What are the sort of things that, what sort of areas will be affected? It's not just going to be the front end, the middle will be affected, the back end system will be affected as well. How much is this going to cost? We're not sure yet. This is just a vision, this is just an idea from the CEO. So the first thing is we're not just going to run out there and start the project. We've got to do a little bit of a feasibility. Let's bring this back home. I like to cook a lot. Assuming I was making some jollof rice, for example. And I was 15 minutes into making my jollof rice. Big, massive pot of jollof rice. The idea is to have a beautiful plate of jollof rice on the table for the missus with some fried plantain and some chicken on the side. Nice candles. She walks in through the door. I give her a glass of Maltina, and she just goes and eats. That's the idea. That's what I'd like to get to. But for me to get to that, I've got to cook. I've got to run this project. I've got to do some feasibility. For me to know that this food is ready, I've got to be able to scoop it at some stage and taste it. To taste it, I'm not going to pour the whole pot in my mouth. I'm going to just going to scoop a little bit and see, is this ready to go? For me to spend 10 or 15 million pounds to ensure that we'll have a 30% increase in customer numbers means I've got to do a little bit of feasibility. In project terms, they're referred to as a proof of concept. What can we go out there and do in small numbers to test that? Should we spend this massive amount of money? Would work. Any questions? You shaking your head?
Companies don't like to make it.
But we save this money in the long run. We could save this money in the long run.
No, absolutely. Totally agree with you.
Yeah. I would understand why companies will not like to do it because they're sure of what they want to achieve. But if you're not sure, it's good to taste it. If you're cooking and the only way we want to know the food is ready is to keep tasting it. A lot of people don't like to do it. For as long as we can do it at a very, very minimal value, then yes. But you're right, there are companies that don't like it because it still costs money. It could be 50 grand to 100 grand to test something over a 2-week period. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, because using resources.
You are. You are, absolutely. But for as long as the board are happy with it and are happy to sign it off, go for it. I'll feel bad for that. And it talks about what you get from this phase, which is whilst you're shaping the idea. And then helps you into your question, which is the PM, you know, if we're going to go ahead, we need a PM, we need a PMO, we need a BA, we need to start building up the right resources that will enable this project to start. Okay? And then we'll get into the build stage, where we want to analyze what the business wants. We want to document them. We want to design them using UX designs and all that. We want to develop with the right technology team, test, and then start to plan for rollout. But the question is, what sort of methodology do you want to use? A lot of people talk agile, a lot of people talk waterfall. Now, these are just methods in which you want to do a project. The better way of looking at it is, how many different ways can you get married? You can go to the registry and get married. You can have a massive church wedding. You can go traditional. These are different ways in which you can still deliver that beautiful day. And that's what this is asking. How do you want to deliver the project? You go agile, which is you run them in little slices. Better way of describing agile is if you want to build a road from London to Manchester. Just pull out the other one. If you want to build a road from London to Manchester, waterfall will say to you that check the distance, plan the distance from London to Manchester. Look at all the different terrain. Where are we going to turn left? Where are we going to turn right? Where do we need to go under a tunnel? What do we need to do here, do there? They can spend a whole year capturing information about how they're going to get to build this road from London to Manchester. But Agile will say, you know what, why don't we spend a whole year? Why can't we just, we know Manchester is that direction, northwards. Why can't we just start building a little bit of road from London to Watford? If we make some mistakes, a proof of concept mistake, we can still roll back and stop. But you know, we'll make that mistake within a 3 or 4 week period rather than spending a whole year, wasting so much money, and then realizing that it really wasn't the best thing to do. Agile will say, let's just do this in little slices. See the results, learn from the results, make some changes, adapt, and then carry on going again. Any questions? And then, depending on the option that we go for, we then start to plan to roll the project out into production. One of the most painful NHS projects was run with Waterfall a couple of years ago, which is trying to centralize all the entire NHS patient process. The government had lost about £4 billion, just chucking money into it. You know, still doing feasibilities and this for a 2-3 year period, using Waterfall. After you just realize that, you know what, we're just going to find ourselves spending a lot more money, and we'll still get value for it. And they have to shelf it after they spend so much. Even the government projects these days still choose to go agile. They've just started to go agile for things like that. The project manager will be involved in all the stages, with the business analyst and the testers. By the time when I start again the service transition, the role of the BA starts to diminish because you capture the requirements, you verify, they've developed, they've tested, everything seems to be working fine. You now start to get people like the service delivery managers coming into play and the chain managers within the business, throwing information out there, which is, you know what, we're about to roll a few things out, you guys need to be aligned to it. From a support perspective, service desk, first line, second line, if you get this phone call, it's because of this project, and it's about to get live. These are the sort of things you've been looking out for. These are the requirements that have been delivered. Let's take you into a room, we'll test it together, we'll train you up, we'll give you an idea or a manual, we'll run a manual together, we'll do some support model. The funny thing is, when I was working as the VA, my role never diminished because I put my hand up and said, what does it need to be a service delivery manager? I can do it. We don't need to hire someone for £600. I capture the requirements, I help them to test it. I'm actually going to start to do that bit as well. Get involved, add value. Don't say, you know what, I don't know nothing about this, let's find somebody else. Any questions so far? AIS here stands for acceptance into service. Every project has a beginning and an end. Every project. So the moment it's coming to an end, we've got to be able to pull it into the live system where the customers and the users will be able to make use of it. And that process involves warranty as well. And warranty simply means, look, we've run this project, we've delivered it to you guys, but over the next, I think warranty is about 30 days. Over the next 30 days, we're going to take responsibility for any fault or failure within the system, whilst it's in the production environment. After which, we're going to hand over to you guys. Questions? Anybody? A lot of people usually talk about the software development lifecycle. It irritates me, SDLC, because it just covers this bit. There's a bigger picture to SDLC today. And this is just from a visions perspective. For me, there's also a solutions life cycle, which is, it cuts across all these different areas. But a lot of people always refer to this as there's more to IT than that. And as best as we can, we will always introduce and talk people all the time. You won't find this on Google because I put this against myself. You don't Google it. Okay? So I said this is out of scope. This section is out of scope because it's outside the project phase. It's in production. We don't worry about it. We're done. Give us the next project. Give us the next idea that is cutting through the pipeline. So there's something that senior stakeholders refer to as pipeline, which is what ideas are we throwing out over the next couple of months or years that will help us in terms of our strategy or our tactical view, where we're trying to get to on the short term, or we're trying to get to in the long term. What is the next piece of science? And there are things that we're not in control of. There are times where the government could say, and God forbid, David Cameron would silly also bring to turn up and say, I'm going to increase VAT to 25% tomorrow. Everybody has to react to that. That is an idea that you cannot stop. We've got to really quickly get something together and start to roll out. And if we don't have time, assuming he says, I want this in the next 3 months, believe me, jobs will go crazy. Because they need people that will be able to look at all these different aspects of the system that will be affected, that does money calculation, that will now change 20% to 25%. A lot of things will go crazy. I want to throw a party. It's just the same thing I was just talking about. Just quickly run through this. Give me some ideas. What sort of party would you like to throw? Black tie and dress, no children invited after 6 p.m. Number 2 is quite interesting, no children. We could lose half of the crowd. Because lots of the people that we know have kids. So what happens? If we say that, 500 people will be down to 250. But we want to throw a big party, so what do? We could have a walk around, which is, let's have an, so this is the whole one. You can have a second hall that's got like 3 or 4 CRB checked nannies that will be able to manage the children whilst the parents are here. So we can cross out number 2. We're still running through the idea. We're still trying to proof of concept. The budget is 25K. Is that enough? We're trying to throw this party in 6 months' time. Are we still going to be spending 6 months' time based on inflation? Are we still going to spend that 25K in 6 months' time? Or should we just add some buffers to it? What sort of dishes are we looking at? So we're still trying to build that idea. We're still trying to groom it. And the moment that we feel we're good to go, we start to put the project together. And then we start to analyze, how do we want to plan the party? Do we spend the next 3 months writing out all the information that we need, using a waterfall approach? Or do we want to start to buy little bits now? Where we see things that says, buy one, get one free, should we start to buy and sell right now, quickly? Go to Dalston and just buy all those little bits right now, in readiness, as we plan for this party. What's fun? Who's laughing at me?
I'm currently concerned about this idea.
Yeah.
And the reason is I think we've got two directors. One of them is like me, which is I like to sit back, analyse, and try to understand what the values. And I've got someone out there who's like to run the idea. And we're going to have
This is from a project perspective.
yeah.
Before we get to having a clash. So, and you know what, the funny thing is, I'll answer that question, but even in the project, you have people with different opinions.
It's just not standard.
So it could be that the project management needs to mediate and manage that. It could be that you need to escalate to a more senior stakeholder to help you to manage it. But for as long as the ideas are coming out, and that's the essence of why we have this sort of view. It's called the stage gates. I didn't want to refer to it. The stage gates process where everybody will filter their ideas in. And then there's a list of documentation you've got to go through to ensure that, we've gone through this checklist and we've answered all these questions. So those sort of things will come out. You have to compromise, you have to. But from the director's perspective, if it's more a government-driven issue, then the customer service director has no rights, has less say than the payments or compliance director. Because it's more, VAT, it's more.
The projects are always split into mandatory, regulatory, and all that, and the all fall into that.
So you can also do a must runner, which is, who's got more say? The must, the show, who's got more say around this sort of thing? Okay.
Yes, I still don't understand the relationship between the project manager and the business analyst.
Okay, I'll run through that. I think one of the painful things that we have in the industry today is we have BAs that can work as PMs, and I am that background. I started as a BA department as a PM role. But if we look at it from a standard approach, if we use this ideas as an example, before a project kicks off, a lot of companies would usually hire business analysts to say, we've got some ideas that we're thinking about, that we want to convert into projects. We'll just give you a summary of what those ideas look like. The business analyst will capture those ideas and put them into what is referred to as a high-level requirements document. Some of those companies might have PMs as well. The PMs might have a view of these things, but they will not be allocated to the project yet. All the business wants is, let's just capture the high-level requirements, the summary of all the ideas we're thinking about. There could be 30 of them. Well, we've captured all of them. We want to take all these ideas that we have in summary, we'll quantify them in terms of the hours that we likely think it will take to cover them up. Hours meaning the developers will feel that we can do item 1 in 2 months. The people can do item 2 in 6 months. The people can do this. The companies like that. Some of them would actually involve a project manager. But the aim is the BA is there to do the donkey work, capturing all the documents and document all information. The project manager's role really is to drive the project, which is, you know what? You said 2 months. We're in April. We've got to finish this by June. I'm going to put a plan together. And that plan will show what needs to be done now, in the next 1 week or 2 weeks, what needs to be done later. Oh, wait a second, we don't have a tester. I need to quickly put in a note that we can hire a tester. I need to put in a log to show the risks that we're experiencing, the issues that we're coming up with, other projects that we are dependent on. So it could be a payments thing that we're trying to change. That means we're dependent on customer services because they take payment. So some of the screens might have to change. Does that help?
Yeah, and in between that period of April and June, what is the BA doing?
The BA will be converting these high-level requirements into detail. So they will take 1, 2, and 3 as one project. From this high-level requirement document, the business analyst will go away and say, fine, they want to start taking American Express. It's got 18-digit CAD number, or it's got a security, a 4-digit security code on the back, for example. What systems are affected by this? Let me start to break down the summary into more detail, because that's what the developers need to code against to ensure that we can deliver it. The PM will be the one that will do all the management reporting.
Yeah.
Because of your Prince 2 background.
So sorry, can I say something? So the PM will capture the plans and say this is where you sign up for all the documents that the field are actually doing. We'll write it in the plan. So this is where all the sign up and make sure that those documents are being signed in conjunction with the field. So the PM with all the stakeholders involved. And we then monitor and drive those people that are working within like the UX design and the testers, the developers, will drive them to make sure that they meet their target date and to bring the document and all the test plans and everything that they need to do. So you will be the ones who do team meeting and coordinating the whole team within the project that they are doing to make sure that everybody's on point to work.
Yeah, you have something.
How are these coming up?
I think from those two, see
Where things form.
where they tested what aspect of the
I don't know, yeah, but no, there's no issue with that.
Yeah, because in the beginning, when they are still in concept, they always call it like business solution guys. So they look at it from their eye
It
level.
also depends on the company. Some actually
Yeah.
even involve the PMs, I would say, but I'm always of the view of, we're just in concept stage.
You don't need it.
No. Unless you want to challenge your project, then the PM will come.
I'm from the background of testing, so we find that because I'm normally when we start the training, I normally take the category and we normally take the PMs. So what you find is he is very high level and I'm very low. So this is my understanding of a project. So for example, if you want to, I'll just go from a normal day-to-day activity, then I'm going to a project activity. If you want to go into the test, you normally have a list of things you want to do. So that's the business idea. You have an idea of, I'm going to go to test, I will have about it, that's what we've got. I want to run a barbecue. You have a business idea. You would have an idea what time you want to go to Tesco. You wouldn't just say, I want to go to Tesco and then not decide what time or what day you wish to go to Tesco. So from the business idea of going to Tesco, you'd speak to the project manager who would then say, you know what, you want to go to Tesco, I'll have to speak to this team, the UX development testing team, to tell me how long that business idea will take to implement. That's how we do it. So usually the project manager will speak to the BA, who will then get estimates, if you're a scrum master or whatever, get an estimate from the team. So normally in an agile methodology, not waterfall, in an agile methodology, you run a planning session. In a planning session, what you normally have is, for each requirement you have, I must get potatoes, I must get tomatoes, blah, blah, blah. For each requirement, this team will tell you, in order to get a potato, you need to go to aisle 5. How long would it take you to go to aisle 5 at Tesco? And then they'll allocate to say 4 minutes to get potatoes, or 10 minutes to get chicken, and blah, blah, blah. And all of that ballpark figure is what they then feed back to the project manager as a VA to say, in order to get this idea of Tesco to life, to go to Tesco to shop, it will take you 2 hours to find everything you want to shop. Then this person who's here, which is usually the project sponsor, is usually called the project sponsor, will then look at the whole thing and say, £1 million in regards to monetary terms rather than time, because time translates to money. Yeah? We're then going to £1 million, not enough for that. You know what, let's cut it down. I just want to go to Tesco and I want to reduce it to 1 hour. So let's slash the amount of items I have that I want to purchase at Tesco. So it's almost like the information you provide is what drives the information that project manager has. And then that information project manager has is what is transpired to the project sponsor. So it's almost like this, and then the famous question we always get is, can this happen without the VA? Yes, it can. You can deliver a project without a VA. But the difference is the VA works as a quality assurance person. I'm sure you've had instances where you've used a product, but it's not user friendly at all. In most instances, they've not had a VA there. They've just had a business idea, given it to a project manager. Project manager said, I need the website built. Project manager goes over to development team. You see, I've skipped that. Project manager goes to development team to design how the website should be. And then once that's designed, they test it that I can buy a product on the website, they deliver it to the end. But then a typical customer will go to the website and go, how on earth do I buy a chair? Just like you go to Argos's website. If you go to Argos's website, you don't know how to find a chair because you don't know what category to put it. Imagine trying to go to B&Q's website and you're trying to find how to buy a nail. Do you realize how minute that is on the website? What category to put the nails on there? So what normally happens is if the BA is involved in that whole process, once the BA gets there and I'm told I just need the website to process payments just like you do, the BA will then begin to ask questions. How would you want the user journey to be? Would you want the user to go to the website and get suggestions as to how I can find meals? Would it be on that home and garden? And then from home and garden, I'll go down further to say garden. And then from when I select garden, I'll go down further to say garden tools, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So that's the BA. The BA is constantly thinking on behalf of the user. In comparison to development team, who's just thinking how long will it take them to build a website. So it's almost like different people in the project have different hats on. Many a times, the BA is the one who's making sure that everybody's happy. Make sure that the project sponsor is happy, which means you deliver on time. Make sure that the project manager is happy, which means if there are any risks that we cannot deliver on time, and let the project manager know on time. So that then this project manager can then tell the project sponsor we're running late, or you know what, good, that you're going to arrive early because you need to have a website. The UX designers and development team, UX designers can decide UX designers can decide to design the website in such a way that instead of arriving on the home page, you arrive at checkout. There's no checks and balances to say, no, that's wrong. But the VA will be like, no, you can't arrive at checkout. What if the customer doesn't want to pay online? What if they want to go cash? So we liaise with the VA, with the UX and development team, to make sure that whatever they're designing is in accordance to what the project sponsor wants. Because that's when you get the business case, you get the product initiation documents. Project initiation documents will be produced by the project manager. And everything you'll be doing as a VA is going to be a reflection of what's in the project initiation document. So it's almost like they tell you to go ahead. They give you the go ahead. You want to go to Tesco? Don't worry. Here's £200. Go ahead. Make sure you come back with my goods. And that's what the VA does. The VA then goes around, rallies around all these teams, make sure that it's definitely Tesco, we don't end up at Morrison's and all of that. Make sure the quality is in place, quality checks is in place, and then make sure we deliver on time. And then you go back, if we're not going to deliver on time, maybe run out of petrol, you know, put the management on, and then repeat that.
Is this a typical process?
99% of the time. Would you agree?
I'll say yes, but it's still depending on the company.
Yeah.
That's important. Because some of the job that the is doing that is usually delegated. Yeah.
Yes. So it's almost like you're working hand in hand with PM.
You're working hand in hand, but you still have to be careful. I think this is where I would usually say it depends on the organization. If they want to cut down on costs, they could decide to get rid of the PM, they decide to get rid of the PM.
Yeah, so you normally find some jobs at EA/PM. So it's not a typical
It could be that it's more BA heavy and less PM heavy. They don't want to report in, they understand the risks among themselves.
But usually, that's the thing, they understand the risks, but if you don't highlight that the risks in regards to development and stuff, because usually whenever they're going around to feedback, the project manager will normally go around to feedback. Project manager will go to BA and say, do you see anything that you think we should be scared about? Do you think we're going to do it on time? Then they'll go to the UX design and the development team. Do you think we should be worried about anything? Or you can give that person, then give feedback. They'll go to the testing team. Do you think we're on track, or do you think anything it happens that way? So whatever information we produce to the project manager is what makes their job successful. And as well as the BA, if these guys don't give you any information with regards to, oh, they don't want to show you UX designs, or they don't want to tell you how good the testing is going, you cannot be successful. You want to talk about?
Yeah, I sort of lost you halfway.
What part?
I'm going to say, you know, when you were talking about the BA developers design, you mentioned that developers can go and just design something that takes you page rather than check out. But I thought that the BA part of his role sometimes is to capture user stories and do the wireframe and everything. So why would they?
Exactly my point. If there's no user story, the developer will just do whatever they want, which is make sure that you got right on check out instead of.
A lot of the.
But with the BA being the one, I mean that's what I'm saying.
I think you got the wrong end of the sentence. The developer can go ahead and do what they want, but because the BA is on board, they're like the quality assurance to make sure that it's the home page rather than the check.
On the real world scene, it's quite, you do get instances like this where the developers are quite powerful stakeholders as well. So you just simply go ahead and do what you want to do. And that's where, you come as a business analyst to build that relationship with them first. You need them to trust you. And then trust you enough to be able to go on their behalf to the business. There's some developers that have been in company. For example, I don't want to mention any specific company, but the place where I was working where the developers have been there about 18 to 25 years, about 3 or 4 of them. So it was a massive challenge for me for the first 6 months, trying to break them down. They say, look, I am the go-between here. Whether you like it or not, it's got to be what I want you guys to be based on the representation I'm holding on to from the business side of it. So there's always that part as well, which is, you know what, we understand the system inside. I don't just be here to.
Yeah, I don't need to tell you.
So that's where stakeholder management comes into play. I'm working in a place now where it's channeling my stakeholder management to a place where I've never actually seen it. It's quite a painful place to work with. I thought I was good at what I did until I met this different type of stakeholders. And so I've had to embrace a lot of the positives that I'm pulling from that, and also learn new things about myself, which is, this is another level where you have to actually do things differently. The developers are not listening. The business stakeholders want things in a certain way, away from what the methodology prescribes.
If you do agile, they want.
They want you as their agile evangelist to go and make things happen a certain way, but you know what? They want to do things in a waterfall sense. They don't want their testing to start now. They don't, so it's just manic, and you've got to be able to balance this across all the different media, and that's why I go back to you see that role with your life. Send it to us. Let's have a look at it before you put yourself out there.
So that's one example using testing, but I'll go through a project example. This is just typical for every organization. So usually there'll be the business idea. The business idea will be passed to the project manager. The project manager will put together a sort of initiation document to tell you what the vision of the company is, the vision of the project is, to tell you, in order to initiate this project, this is what we require in 3 months, in 6 months, in 2 years, blah, blah, blah. That initiation document is what the PA will have to read in the first week of arriving at work to understand the reason why you're there. Most of the times, you don't even have a project initiation document. That's the project. So nobody will give any information.
Or you just know they want to deliver something.
Yeah. You don't have any information. And by the time you ask the question, okay, who do I speak to let me know what the vision is? There's nobody. So stakeholder management comes in. Yeah. So that's what I mean by Project initiation document, sometimes you might even have to put it together. So BA/PM, where you have to be proactive rather than saying, that's not my job role. So once that happens, the BA then begins to rally around all these teams. So you can see, it's all these teams makes the BA work easier. Goes back to the UX design and development team to find out what can be done, how quickly can it be done. Make sure you, Agile, you make sure they stick to the Agile principles. If it's waterfall, make sure they stick to waterfall principles. Once that is done, you then work with the testing team to make sure that they're testing that what's in the project initiation document is exactly what's being delivered. So, for example, if the website is meant to process like ASOS, they're meant to buy clothes on ASOS. The testing will make sure that we can definitely buy clothes rather than definitely pay for buying tools. Right.
In what you're saying is the BA actually doing the PM work. Because from my understanding, once the documents have been signed off, to be able becomes very more or less like quality assurance, because all the testing, all the design feeds from the document that the BA has actually produced.
Yes.
So once the BA has produced the document and has been signed off, sometimes it's the end of the BA's job.
Sometimes.
Other than it comes in when they are testing to make sure that it actually correlates with what they are doing, which is a few hours of the job that they are doing.
Yeah, so I'll explain where that fits into testing.
Okay, because from the explanation, the rest of the coordination will be the PM actually coordinating the rest.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you.
So, but the explanation is making me feel that the PA is actually doing that the role of the PM as well. If it's a PM/PA, I can understand that the PA will do all that. But if it's a PA, then his role is quite limited at the beginning of the project.
I think what you're describing is mostly the workflow environment, which is once the requirements gathered at the design of the or there's nothing else. Well, I would say 99% of the projects I've been working on where there is a PM, definitely, I've been in charge of prioritizing bugs that have been released from the testing environment. PM was certainly, I don't remember any.
Because you capture the requirements, you know the requirements a lot more than the PM. So you're the first point of contact that the tester comes from, developers will go, which is, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And it's up to you to define. This is an edge case we never thought about. So we should actually go back to the business team and say, we didn't think about this. It's a massive hurdle. We need to spend some money over the next couple of days to fix this bit. For all these other bugs, we need to pass them back and do this and do that with them. And then sometimes the BAs will not even tell the PM that these things are done because they might have that understanding between them, which is, if it's a medium issue, you deal with it. If it's massive, then let me know.
If it's a showstopper, if it's a huge risk, it means we're meant to deliver in 2 weeks. We've got a problem with the system. That means we cannot process payments. We cannot deliver in 2 weeks. Then you let the PM know. Well, half the time you're writing requirements. Testers are testing that your requirements are true, which is I can deliver an ASOS website. If there's a problem with that, such as they'll definitely find bugs. That's what testing is about. They'll find bugs. You will now be in charge to say this is definitely a bug because it matches to my requirements document. And there will be times where they'll raise bugs and they're not bugs. For example, if I go to the eBay website and I cannot find a link to order a passport, the test team might raise that as a bug to say, why can't I order a passport? Because it's eBay. Then you will go to your requirement document and say, based on my requirement document that's been signed off, there's no requirement that says I can process a passport. So that's what means that you're constantly working with the test team. They'll raise bugs that are not part of the requirements. And it's now your role to liaise with the test manager. There might even be a test manager, so the BA will need to come to you.
I think one thing that is missing here is to even expand a bit more on what the PM is doing. Whilst all these things are happening.
They're managing 2 or 3 projects.
It's not just that alone. You just say within this project, and that's why I showed you this view. You know, you're trying to transition into rollout. You're speaking to the business chain manager, which is, you know what, business chain means what? We're making some changes that will be affecting all these different users. We need to, 1, identify the areas of the change, and then 2, roll out some training mechanisms so that when we get to production, the people that are affected know what's coming to them and have also tested and trained on what's coming to them. That's number 1. Number 2 is service delivery. This project is coming out. At some stage, when it goes into production, it's part of the project manager's job to ensure that if we have an issue on the live website based on these changes, and the customer complains that, look, I've just tried to make payments on my phone, the first thing that they want to do is escalate the service desk. Service desk, the frontline desk 1 will raise to desk 2 and 3 and stuff like that. There's going to be documentation that helps to fit all those things in. That's why I gave you the example of AIS. Acceptance into service. It's a bunch of all sorts of series of documentation. that prepares the production guys, the live environment to accept that project itself. So whilst all those things are happening within the project itself, there are other things that PM is doing in real time, in readiness for all those things to catch up.
And there's also the environment as well. The PM will need to ensure that it's a stable
There's
environment.
a test environment to work with, there's a development environment to work with.
Production environment. So there's
You have to look at system integration, operation,
Yeah.
OAT, what UAT.
UAT.
There's so much.
So that's why I said there's also the live environment and there's the post-live. The DA is usually kept if they have enough money. Usually once it's live, that's the end of the road. But sometimes we will still leave you behind to make sure that once it's live, if the users are still having problems, you're the one helping them to close off any cases. On Salesforce, it's usually called user will raise a case to say, well, because this is now the end user who's seen the website now. Why can't I order my pair of shoes on Tesla? You will now be the one to physically go in and say, well, okay, you now go through the whole story. That user, they will have a screenshot to say, this is the error that came up when they tried to go issue. So it's not just BA end here and that's it. Sometimes you be careful even when the project is live to make sure that you're still finalizing the product.
Depends on the company, but if it helps in terms of percentages, you hear 100%, 100% here, and then it starts to reduce. About 75, 50, 30, 40, and maybe down to it.
Yeah. Those are reports.
The reporting is down to the project manager level.
Well, sometimes you produce reports. So sometimes you'll produce reports. This is not in every role. In probably 50% of my roles as a BA has been producing reports.
I think we're very careful saying that. I think it's because we're very proactive as well. The PM is down to the PM to come and ask. You know, you'd have like set times or set frequencies during the week to catch up with the team in terms of what they're doing. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just thinking in terms of the ones we probably design the text.
Not necessarily cut off. Because whatever meetings you're having the development and design, the PM will be there.
Or chooses to be there.
Sometimes.
I'll usually choose if
they have the time, they would attend those meetings to make sure that. I've had situations where I'm leading the session, so like me standing there, he's the PM, he's just listening silently, and then by the time they hear something like, "What we're not going to deliver? What do you mean? It's going to take 30 hours just to build that?" They will now raise their voice to say, last time I had a project that took us 15 hours, so how come we put it in 30 hours? But believe me, sometimes they will just be at the back of the room whilst I'm gathering my requirements, doing what I'm doing. US team testing, everybody's in the room and they're just listening silently. So it's not cut off. They're still there, but they are letting you do the dirty work. Sometimes my meeting might be for 4 hours, they'll only be there for 30 minutes just to come and sit there and handle things properly. After 30 minutes, they'll go off and say, sorry guys, I've got to go, but I'll catch up with you. And what happens is after that 4-hour meeting, they walk over to my desk and say, how did you go? Do you think everything's okay? Do you think there are any problems with the team? Then I'll raise whatever risk and say, that guy's a bit of trouble. It's not really interactive. So not necessarily cut off. They're still visible across. Testing will still report to them. Development team will still report to them. But only if they want it. And then I produce a report only if they ask me. Because if they have a meeting at the end of the day, they're walking over to my desk after 4 hours, they might not necessarily do it. That's what we can do.
Any other questions for Karen?
Have I answered your question now? You said regarding the development team.
Okay, thank you very much. £3.25. If this is what you saved on, that's on a day-to-day basis for the next 8 months, that's all you need to do this sort of training level. I think I've run through the sort of days and the sort of things that we do in our training itself. This is what a typical day one would look like. Now, quite a lot of information, 10 to 6 people. We'll cut through all these sort of things. We'll look at use cases, process mapping, stakeholder management. We'll start to build together a list of keywords, a list of new language that we'll start to speak it. I'll give you some examples. The page I'm looking for example, is page 58 and 59. It shows you a list of keywords, gives you a definition of those specific keywords, and an example of how you can use it. Why do I do this? Why? Because if you go into an interview and start to adopt to speak this way, you're saying to your interviewer that, what, I understand IT, I understand the language, and I'm proving that to you. And that's why we teach all these keywords. Now, within the manual itself, we're talking about because the printout I will give to yourself when you start the training, start off from 150 different keywords in it. I'll be expecting about the second or the third Saturday, you started to use all those words whilst we're going to ask you questions. Because by the second and third Saturday, we'll start to even use a lot of more keywords like this, and then you start to understand them and start to pick them up. So this is what that first day will look like. We'll start to look at documentation, we'll start to look at how we're pulling out information from our stakeholders. We'll start to look at different customer journeys. What does it take for a customer to log into this website to order a product? And what sort of products are we looking at? How do they pay for it? We'll walk through all these sort of things. And then we'll start to then go into the methodologies. We'll go deeper into the stage gate process. We'll look at the agile and the waterfall. We'll start talking about wireframing, process mapping again, and start to just take you to another deeper level. And obviously, if we feel as if we're too heavy, we'll take a step back, we'll take a break, come back to it again. And between all those different dates, there are lots of assignments as well. So on the typical first Saturday, I'll ask you to go to YouTube and watch this 10 minutes video, for example. And that's where the commitment comes into it. There are people that will forget to watch your message. Because it's been a long day, they'll just forget to watch it. There are people that will say to me, you know what, I watched it 5 times. There are people that will email me in the middle of the night on that first Saturday and say, Gus, whilst I was watching, this is what I came up with. What do you think? I actually saw this other video. There are people that watch it 30 times during the week before the next Saturday. They will know the requirements of that video inside out, or what that video is trying to say inside out before the next Saturday. That's what I mean by commitment. We started talking about documenting. We started to throw ourselves in. And if you think about 8 hours, you're not going to sat on the whole 8 hours. There'll be times where you'll be shoot for about an hour or two. I'm sure that will happen. But because in the industry, that's what happens. If you're running a session like this, which I very much doubt you do in your first instance, or if you're participating in a session like this, I'll give you a good example. Whilst I was at Peace Club, there was a time where we're going to run a requirements gathering session. We had stakeholders from Scotland, from Livingston in Scotland, who came up to Rochester, and there were about 4 or 5 business analysts in the room, myself and 4 others. And so we looked at our strengths. You can speak well, you can coordinate well, you can ask the right questions, you can document, you can UX design. We planned before we went into the session. We'd send the right emails to them, we'd give them the right invites. We'd put an agenda together, and we'd time box the agenda as well. Between 9:15 and 10:15 is what we're going to talk about. We'll take some questions, we'll clarify between 10:30 and 11:30 we'll do this. Between 11:45 and 12:45 we'll do this. We'll go for lunch, come back at 2, do this. We also had a scribe in the room, which if there's anything that we're missing out, just capture those projects, things for us, and stuff like that. So everything is well planned, and we went in as a group. And so we'll look at different ways in which we're documenting, which we're prioritizing information that we're capturing from our stakeholders as well. So you're not just left alone, okay? And then the different templates I'll use, different software toolkits. We'll look at how you can approach an interview, how you ask the right questions, how you compose yourself. We'll understand project scope and size. We'll start to talk a lot more about that. We'll start to touch into project management as well, because it's quite important. We've been facing lots of project managers. And we'll go back into stakeholders. How do you approach them? How do you deal with them? How do you identify the right kind of stakeholders? How do you put them into the right sort of matrix? Who are the ones that I need to keep on side? Who are the ones that I need to be worried about? For example, I was going to send an email to a director or a group of directors. There'll be a certain format I'll use. If I have to speak to a certain user group that maybe are more customer facing, yes, there could be customer service advisors, but I'll still have to refer to them in a different way than I will to a director. We'll look at all the different ways in which we can manage issues, manage conflicts. Do we escalate immediately? Do we just look at the issue and take a step back and review and then speak to somebody about it, find a solution before we escalate and do stuff like that? We'll look at how we write functional specs, business requirement documents, and things like that. Now you might ask, is this possible in post-output? Yes, it is. Some might take some time. Every morning you have 2 choices: continue to sleep with your dreams, or wake up and chase it. So, in terms of our training, these are the sort of things I'll look at. Please excuse that one, as I said. It's not the sort of thing that I'll teach at this stage. But in terms of the training itself, these are the sort of things that we will run you through. Okay. I'll skip this. We touch on user experience. We phrase those a few of the things around user experience. If you have any specific questions, feel free to ask. As I said, it's all about just capturing that documented information in a graphical form. We could be talking about an app. How many lines of information do you want to hear before you go to the next screen and stuff like that? How do you want to get back? How do you want the arrow to look? What color are you looking at? As I said, I referred to the refresher session as well. We've had some people who, I think we had 2 people that wanted to join on the Milton Keynes session from Manchester last month. They just want to do 1 or 2 Saturdays. They said, oh, I want the 2nd Saturday, I want that 3rd Saturday, just to capture or just to understand that a little bit again. I was really focused on the day. Always have for people to come back and do that. As I did say initially, that there's some specific training I would do. We've stopped to do PPR videos, but because PPR is really killing off in the industry, you hardly find it anymore. So that really I'm going to be taking. I don't take PPR inside of that. But the rest we do, we take the grants like CRMs. We do talk about CRMs, which is just customer relationship management tool, e-commerce websites, electronic point of sale, and mobile apps as well. Are you going to say something? Okay. Pipelining I've touched on, and so this is where the group of people within the senior management team will look at different ideas that they want to take into, say, the next year or 2 years. And the idea of pipelining is, if you think about it, an organization can come up with about maybe 15 or 20 different ideas. But in terms of the pot of money that we have to run all our projects, it's quite limited. So all these 20 different ideas could cost, say, about £1 billion. And we've only got about £200 million to spend, which is 20% of what all these ideas come to. What happens then is we have to then look at all the priorities of those requirements. So all these high-level requirements, all these high-level ideas will not have to go through a series of seed, which is the most important we'll have to deliver, that will kind of avoid. And so we'll talk about some of those things as well. And this is a solutions lifecycle. It's pretty similar to what we did initially, but it's just a different view. And what it adds to it is, what I've done here is I've pulled in the requirements aspect. So everything you're seeing here, the stage gates process. I don't know if anyone said of stage gates. You've got the stage gates process, and then you've got the sort of artifact you'd expect to see at certain areas. So whenever you start to see things like caliber requirements, those are where the business analyst will chip in. Whilst I was working in this sort of area, you had a project manager actually starting from stage gate 1, which you want you to put a mandate together, and then go and speak to the architectural team to put the solutions together. It's solutions architect to do that, which is based on the idea, the notion, or the concept. Let us go and put an let us see what aspects of the back-end system we have. Let us see what they're actually saying. We need to improve and add all the bits to it. And then we'll pull a business case today, which is, you know what, we've done a proof of concept, we're happy with what we've got so far, we've done the feasibility, we're now going to push forward and run this project. Let everybody know that, yes, we're actually going to go through it. So this in itself, for me, is the solutions lifecycle. And it covers stakeholder management across the board. There you'll be having the likes of the project manager, the senior PM, and then also the program manager following the trends. Any questions from anyone? Requirements. We spend lots of time capturing requirements, which is, what is it that I see that, what is it that, you see that everyone is not seeing? For example, you want to capture requirements about using this tool to go from Manchester to London. What is the first thing you want to do? If I want to run this tool, if I want to capture requirements around this device, what is it that I'm looking for? What is the journey? What does the customer journey look like? What is the first thing that you want to do when you have this tool and you want to leave Manchester and want to drive on to London? I was going to ask that question. What's the first thing you say? Sorry?
No way you're going to before you set it.
Is that something we'll do before?
I'll make sure that the cut that you're going to have something to make that, right?
Is this something else that we'll do before? So I give you this device and I say, you're Manchester, I want you to go to London. From an analyst perspective.
You need to know how to operate the machine.
Thank you. What does that mean? You need to turn it on. Thank you. Let's turn it on. That's a business analyst view. Can you just run me through the journey? What does it mean like? What does it take for a customer to put products in the basket? What are the products that are not available? If the products are not available, why would you show them on your website? It should be that if they're not in stock. So there's got to be a mechanism that talks to something else that says, you know what, I'm in stock, so display on the website. Or I'm not in stock, don't display. So the first thing I want to do is to turn on. What's the next thing you want to do? What's the next thing that will happen when you turn it on?
Agree.
Sorry?
Agree to send information.
Before then, what happened? So you press a button to turn on.
Yeah.
Second thing that happens is,
Sound. Yeah, sound.
okay, yeah, I agree to that. I just put that under 1A, sound, which is turn on sound. Then you see maybe a buffering indicator, which is I'm powering off. These are requirements we're capturing. Power up, so you might start to count up from 0% to 100%.
So, sorry. So how much detail is the VA worth? How much into detail you have to go into? How many requirements? When can you say, okay, that's enough?
It's a difficult question to answer, but you have to go to as much detail as possible. Look at the screen. What do you see? The standard VA will say to you, I just see a screen, but I see some arrows here, some are disabled, this is enabled, pointing left. Why? Is it because I'm being asked to go left? You're going to be able to describe everything that you see. But there are times where if you're working with a sound development team that might have done this before, and all we're just looking for is to make some extra changes to the screen, you don't have to replicate what's been done already. It might just be that they want this arrow to have feathers in them. That's what you refer to, which is jump item 1, 2, 3, 4. When you get to the screen and the postcode has been entered, we just want a scenario where once the vehicle has been asked to turn left, we want to see some feathers on the arrow. But when it comes to detail, you have to go to the absolute level of detail. From a documents perspective, and then from a graphical perspective as well. Because the way I choose to explain it is, if you have to hand the information captured to a group of people that do not understand English or what you've captured, how else can you make them to understand it? You've got to describe it in the document and also in the graphic format as well. You're going to go to as much detail, and that for me is you talking about the customer journey. There are times when you have to even decide how much detail you want to go into with the development team. As I said, if it's something they know, if it's something that they don't know, then you have to go into as much detail.
And this is a silly question.
Oh, yeah, it's not necessary.
So we are always talking about interfaces and websites and all that. Is there anything else to business analysts apart from that?
So let me go to. So I've talked about websites, electronic point of sale, customer relationship management. That is a sort of software that you plug into where you can see information about a specific customer. The customer relationship management tool could be your bank account, which is I'm trying to log into my NatWest account. It could be your ATM machine, which is I'm going to put my card into and interface with the system. Okay, but in terms of generics, which is as a standard BA, there's only so much that we can teach. Okay, but assuming I've had people who have come to me and said, I used to work in a bank and I've just seen this role. We just want a standard BA that will capture information in this level, but go for it. They get in there and they realize that they just want an analyst that will capture some specific information about the system they're currently use and they want to remove some things in it and refresh it to look different in future. We're just talking now about Tesco not accepting logins or something around putting stuff into the basket and stuff like that. But within IT, these are the sort of areas that we're looking to.
We do work usually, because you mentioned before, along as time as well as part of the team. But how do you come up with all these ideas? Because I think that it's not very easy, or at least for me, it won't be very easy to come up with all these,
Nothing is. So assuming, let's see if I can give you a good example.
It's more
The
than
artifacts don't change. The sort of documents that you want to provide or produce or you expect to see don't change. So if you walk into a room tomorrow, you'll be asking me the question, have you had a requirement? Have you got any level of detail requirements to put together? Oh, we don't have any. That's why we're inviting you to come and join us. So you have other requirements. Next thing is we don't have any detailed requirements. That means you've got to be looking at identifying the stakeholders that will help you to break down the high-level requirements into more detail. You've got to be able to go and sit down with them and start to talk through the customer journey, which is what does it mean? What does it look like when I want to do this? When I want to switch this device on to put a postcode in from this location to that location. What does it mean? Or do you have any sort of wireframes? Do you have a UX designer that might have put some information together for yourself? Do you have process maps? Because we're going to be running through all the different artifacts, it's never going to change. If you want to drive a car, you need to have diesel or petrol in it. You need to have a car key. You need to have a car to identify the car. You will slide it in, auto manual, and drive it off. If you go to China tomorrow, that's not going to change. You're going to ask the question: is there petrol or diesel there? You know, can I drive this car? These are the sort of basic things that will never change. So we're going to run you through all these sort of things.
Because coming from kind of like I never thought it was hard.
It's been coined out in the industry for a very long time. It started with, I think, an analyst before them became systems analyst, and systems analyst was more technology focused. And then we realized that based on that little diagram I showed you, that they needed someone that understood the business side of things, or understood what the business wanted, the IT or the technology side to deliver. So that's where it kind of just comes from. Any other questions? Thinking out loud. I need to take it off. It's a joke around it, so we'll have a location in Manchester that we'll use, that's what office is. But in terms of how we've structured the training, we've kept costs down by using conference facilities. So we can easily hop around the country and do minimum set of training with lots of people. So that it just makes it easier and cheaper for people to run the training as well. So this is where we're in Manchester. Should you ever choose to come join us in Manchester, we use this location in Manchester. It's called the 3 conference trips, stop 3 talk over the station. And like I said, this is where we choose to be using Milton Keynes. We'll have we'll have a location in Brentford as well, just next to what's it called? Holland, that's the conference facility. It's Jupiter. That's what we use as well. So these are the sort of standard pricing mechanisms that we have. I think the page here. Well, this is every part is important to it. From the initial bit, everything is important to it. This is the real bit. Okay.
So standard business, I'll start with introduction to IT, which is what you have 750 on there. For today, what we normally have is at our roadshows, we normally offer discounts for our training programs. Outside of the roadshows, the prices go back to exactly what you see on there. So for today, introduction to IT will be given to you guys if you decide to go next day. We'll be given to you at the price of £700. And what that gives you is software testing training, business analysis training, UX design training, and you get to work on one practical project of your choice. We'll definitely go back to the second screen so you get to see what I mean. The screen which has the e-commerce, which has the PPI that is anything to take away. That's what we mean by one practical project of your choice.
And sorry to interrupt you. As I said, the reason why PPI is going away is because it's not in demand anymore. So we're driven by what JobServe says on a quarterly basis. So we look at JobServe, we look at what they're looking for. And because we've worked in different projects over the last couple of years, it's easier for us to just pull all these things together and start to develop people. For me, it's all about the demand.
So what I mean by one practical project is that is a live project at the moment. We don't tell you the details of the live project because anybody can physically log in as we speak. It's a project that's live. If you type in the URL as we speak, it's live. Agencies physically go to our website to see if candidates are lying or if candidates are telling the truth. We give you references based on that project that we're talking about. So what happens is once you're done working with us, we'll give you a reference to say you've been working with us for the last 8 weeks or for the last 4 weeks. So it depends on how long you've been working with us. We'll give you a reference to say you've definitely been trained with us as a VA, working on a given project with previous company name. It's not going to be called ESU, so it's not going to be called business analyst at ESU. It's totally different. Business analyst at the given company name. You work on that project, we'll definitely give you a reference to see how good you were at it, whether you gathered the requirements properly. So we'll be working with you as an employer, we'll be working with you and we'll be working with that benefit. So we're not just training you, we're also willing to speak to agencies on your behalf so you definitely a good VA. We'll put together CVs for you as well. we'll definitely look at your situation. We understand that not everybody is technical, not everybody has done IT, not everybody is technical. So we'll definitely work with you. The fear that most people have is, oh, I've never done anything before, I don't know customer services, or I'm cleaner at the moment, I've never done anything like that. But what you realize is in everything you do in life, you have used one software or the other. If you're just a secretary who takes phone calls, you must put, if anybody arrives at the company, there must be a system that you definitely use, where you put in customers' names, customer phone numbers, customer email addresses. Those little tools that you use are things you can use and boast about on your CV as a VA. So it's not just about we have worked in this company as a VA. There's so many things that we use our mobile phone, we use apps, BDM Messenger, Facebook, all the things are apps that you put on your CV to say, you know what, I've been working as a VA using those apps, gathering funds with those apps. Because as you're using them, you're working through those apps as a user, and ideally that's what a VA would do. So we'll put together CVs for you, give you references, and most importantly, on the last day of training, we'll give you interviews as well. And he wouldn't be interviewing you, I wouldn't be interviewing you. We have a company who comes in and interviews our candidates to see if you're good.
So one thing that I forgot to mention is in terms of the training model itself, those 4 or 5 Saturdays are very, very group-related sessions that we have. After which it becomes a one-on-one sort of relationship that we tend to build with yourself. So there's a question that people usually ask, which is, from the moment we start the training, when do you really think we can get out there? The one thing I say is, for as long as I get that commitment, I'll take it 8 weeks. So if you start this Saturday, 8 weeks from now, I would expect to be able to go out instead of that. That's the first thing. So if you think about it, you come for a 4 Saturday session. They make the next 4 Saturdays afterwards become one-to-one, where I look at your situation and say, you know what, we've had accountants that come through that are working in the banking industry. Let me link you up with these people so that they can start to talk you through what they currently do. It could be that, you know what, I used to work in banking, I've come to training, but I want to go into this aspect of software delivery. Oh, I've got some people that do that to work with them. I can link you up with stuff like that. Because in future, if you choose to come for a training or work here, I'll be giving you a call to say, look, I've got some people that I want to introduce you to. I can also just, you know, whip them up and just run them through a couple of things. The second thing is you're never left alone. So there's not a case of handshake over, 8 weeks is done, I'll never speak to you again. When you start that role, for me, the next thing for me is what I refer to as the onboarding process. The first 2 weeks are my very, very critical. There are people that will call me and say, no, I've only just started the role today. What is it that I need to do? Oh, you've forgotten the training, haven't you? Ask for this thing. Ask for some of the workers. Identify stakeholders. This is an email template. Send an email to introduce yourself. Go grab a coffee with them. Start to ask them for high-level requirements or this or that information. What does this company stand for? What is it they've asked you to do? That's the onboarding process for me, where for those 2 week period, for myself, with Brady, there'll be someone that will help you along with the support. Because after the 2 weeks, I'll expect you to stay and sorted.
And the thing is, we've got somebody from last year, but you know, he works with the BBC, and still he's not confident. I don't understand why his contract has been renewed. So
I've given everything.
You know,
he keeps delivering, but there's always that fear factor. I don't know why he's. Where's my phone? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
A couple of days, you know, I've just been given a 12-month contract and keep it today.
And the thing is, as soon as he's about to go into the session, they'll normally come to the project manager will come to him to say, you know what, you're going to be meeting with the stakeholders. I need you to gather these requirements and blah blah blah. Immediately, as soon as the project manager goes, he's calling us like, oh, what do you think that you're asking? You've been there for how much? How long now? You obviously are asking the right questions. If they renew your contract, that means you're asking the right questions. But for some reason, you still.
There are times where people will say, you know what, I've been told to put a process map together. What do I do? Fine, let's spend 5 minutes. Run me through what is it that they need. And I just start to draft stuff together. From the draft, I go into my Microsoft Visio, whack it together. Or I say, look, I don't have to, I've got to go for another session right now. These are the sort of bits you're looking at. Big, massive picture, send it back to them all.
So we're definitely hands-on.
What if you want to increase the practical project that you're working on, like the standard training or EA training plus UX plus one practical project? So if you wanted to increase that to 2 to 3 practical projects, is that going to be, what's the cost? What's the flexibility?
So I think that's a bit misleading because although we've got one practical project there, it really refers to the entire end-to-end website, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you think about it, there's also payments and compliance that will add to it.
There's 2 things there. Okay. We teach you on projects of your choice, but somehow, some way, his theoretical teaches you on payments. So regardless of what you choose, he's going to be teaching you on payments. At the end, you're going to be gathering requirements for a mobile app that we're about to release in May. So you end up having mobile apps, payments, and whatever else you choose.
It's what most
So you
people-
don't really get charged. You come up with approximately about 3 projects on board. I can tell you what it is. It's going to be semaphore. It's going to be teaching you.
Payments and compliances will always be in the industry. If you go out to job search tomorrow, they will always be asking for it. So I will be running you through a lot of things around. Like, if you look at, remember that wireframe I looked at the other time? That's got payment details. We'll be focusing a lot around payments. So
So
that's
you
part of
can
my
Google
first
this.
and second
You can
time.
Google this and semaphore, you put it on YouTube. It'll teach you on semaphore on how to gather requirements.
That's the new industry standard of usage of payments capture. That it masks card details, it removes this idea of fraud, and just it hands over control back to the customer. That's my thing.
Yeah, so semaphore definitely will teach you, will bring somebody in who is an industry expert to interview you, and I'll tell you the truth, most candidates never take it seriously. The thing is, we want them from the roadshows that we'll be bringing somebody in, and on that day you're walking with their trainers, like, yeah, whatever.
If you wonder why we don't interview, because we spend what 3-4 Saturdays listening to us. I want to give you a different view on that from someone else, and it helps you. Yeah, it helps you.
So the thing is, because they're so comfortable with us and we've been warning them, it's just like the story of Noah. When Noah warned them, so one, so they just feel they listen. And then they get into the interview, and then the person's asking them questions. You find it's that standard. And what you find the most is they start throwing keywords rather than explaining what those keywords are. They start hearing, oh, I want to capture the identity and the gap analysis. They keep going like that, throwing keywords around because they're so nervous. Because they're not, if I was one asking them questions, they would know how to calm down. But because it's somebody they've never met before, in an interview structure, they normally get it wrong. So from now on, from the roadshow, we normally advertise that when we interview you, it's going to be somebody you don't know, but somehow still they don't take it seriously. So interviews, references, CVs, refresher, we cover a refresher session as well. So once 4 weeks or 5 weeks is over, introduction to IC is 5 weeks. If you must know that, it's 5 weeks, which is on 5 Saturdays. And the standard VA, the 2 things we're offering today, the standard VA is 4 weeks, just 4 Saturdays.
The one challenge I always give to everyone is the Nigerians who, I'm trying to be Nigerian specific. They'll call me, and we've been doing this for 18 months. They come and they'll run through stuff. I run them through stuff that I do. And the next thing they say, oh, I've just heard about this company called Next Data Trade. I said, look, actually, no, they're actually there. We want to come back to train with them about 7 days. The reason being is, they use this book you got there. Their teaching is very theoretical. They don't go through any practical at all, and they charge you 2.5, 3 Feel free to go. I'm happy with a gun to them, and then come back to us for training as well. But the one challenge I always say to people, if you find anyone that does what I do, what is the price? Let me know.
No, but that's the trick. Most of the training they give you more theoretical than any of the 5 day class or friends or whatever. They don't give the theoretical aspect and other aspects. So,
And that's what we started this 18 months ago, which is how can we help people to, and it's a massive gap, how can we get people to a place where they can confidently go out and apply for jobs and get roles.
And what more better to say, you know what, for the last 8 weeks I've been working with a company called blah, blah, blah. I've been the VA and I've been managing. And what happened is, I'll just jump into this little scenario. Just last Saturday we finished our London session. So I came in expecting to chill out, you know, I'll just start talking. Because doesn't work talking. I do a lot of go ahead and gather requirements. So I came in, I was like, so start today. We're going to gather requirements for an app called blah, blah, blah. So you will be the UX designer, you will be the VA, and then so that UX designer, you know. But the thing is, as soon as you get that, and I had a timer, I think I still got pictures on my phone. I had a timer up. They had an hour to gather requirements to get these wireframes. So they started shaking because it was more like, yeah, I've been learning all this before, but I had an hour, and then typically they went for the easiest thing. They started gathering requirements, which is as a user, I was able to process payments. And I was like, what's my acceptance criteria? We don't have to an acceptance criteria to test and use our requirements. What's the acceptance criteria? Oh, you didn't mention, oh, I was just going to quickly write. And they had an hour. I made sure I took the blood out of that. I'm finished. By the end of that day, we went through a whole project, which is I, the project sponsor, told them this is what I want from you by the end of the day, which is 5 p.m. I went through my requirements session with them. They wrote requirements. They had wireframes. They estimated how long it will take, how many sprints, the sprints from the weeks, how long it will take for us to deliver those requirements. They came back to me to present those requirements to me to tell me, they had a little presentation on PowerPoint to tell me, this is how long it will take. what do you think? This is how much it will cost. We need about 8 people on the team to be able to do it. Blah, blah, blah. So we got confident, and by the end of the day, we were like, whew, it's a lot of work, but now it comes to life. So typically, an agency will call you to tell me, run me through your role as a GA or your CV, so talk me through. But because you've gone through that in a day or throughout the 4 weeks, it's easy to talk through to say, you know what, I was in charge of that and family from the beginning to the end of the project.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said about projects that you guys instead of two days, one called Career Insight, and then something similar.
Let me say this to you. I feel good to challenge it. I feel good to come to my training. So the tools that you have working current is one is a project manager. Only ever worked.
He only started on offering business analysis.
How a PM can train people in VA is what I don't understand. But he doesn't. The one thing that I try to, and this is one of the reasons why I did it, which is, I wish in my own session, I had about 70 people right in front of me. 3 non-technical questions. It was painful, but I did the best that I could. Sure. But the thing is, that's why I do this, which is I'll come and stand in front of you and tell you what you need to know. Right now, what I want to tell you. If that makes sense. So I've had people from career inside that come to my training. My London said, how about 3 of them?
I think the most famous complaint in Career Insight is you just give them a project, same way I told you that I give you a project and I tell you I need my requirements in 2 hours. You give it to them and just solve. So they're left out there at mercy of are we getting it right, are we getting it wrong? He's not in the room, we compare. But I'm physically.
They call him, they don't find him. With us, we've got a contact center that will usually always transfer calls to us. It goes to her first, she can't take it, it comes to me.
And I'm sat there with you.
Yeah, so
I'm sat there. So last week I had a situation where when I had this, I said UX designer, UBA, I had somebody who he wasn't getting along with the team that I allocated him to. So I wasn't going to put him with the first round because I knew for the last 4 weeks I could see body language, who likes you and who doesn't like you. So of course I put him with the person he doesn't like. And funny enough, he's a very graphical person. And he was like, oh, I want to put a bit of pink on my backpack. That also don't have this. But I want to put a bit of pink here, I want to put a bit of blue here. And his team are like, let's go on with this, you need to deliver in 30 minutes. And the next thing he just cowered. We went to decide. And because I was in the room, I said to him, why are you not putting the acceptance criteria together? What's your problem? Why are you sitting on the side? And he goes, no, don't worry, I'm going to get involved. But once they started working, he stood up, came over to me, showed me his mobile phone. What he did was he tried to put the problem was he goes, they keep on shutting down all my suggestions. I felt like crying for him, like, really, I get 3 years old. But that's what he said. He said they keep on shutting down my suggestions. I'm like, so what? If you're in a real environment, you're getting paid for shutting down your suggestions, like, you're going to feed it back here or you're going to think about what you what do you do in that scenario? And then I said to him, that's tough enough, fine. They're refusing your suggestion. Why don't you suggest to me what else you can do? If they're writing the requirements, why not saying, you know what, guys, I'll take care of that acceptance criteria. You know what, guys, I'll put together the muscle principles, which is the must have, should have, so that would have. Suggest something else you can do. If you're not getting along with somebody, find this, make use of yourself. Oh, the project will tell you, we see that you're not too active on
you're not adding value.
They'll tell you, let's see you later, they'll terminate the contract. But if you always find a situation where you're in a project and you find that you're not doing a lot because the project manager is very active and hands-on and they're not letting you do much, it might not be the only BA on the team. There might be about 5 BAs on the same project you're working on. And when you find that some of you start to overlap, you still need to make yourself look like of benefit to the team rather than just like, oh, you keep taking over work from me. You keep on booking all the meetings with all the developers. I never have enough time with them. Stuff like that happens in real life. So we'll be going through that. And well, we're going through that in our project. So introduction to IT will all be training in software testing, UX design, business analysis, and you get 1 project of your choice. I like to it's a live project. Standard BA is UX design, business analysis, and 1 project of your choice. So the only difference is with standard BA, you don't get software testing. The standard BA for today is being offered at the price of £500. You can pay by cash, you can pay by debit card, you can pay by credit card, or card machine in the room. Or introduction to be an IT will be at a price of £700. I'm done. Good question, yes.
Do you, I mean, if you get a certification, yeah, does it work out?
Yes and no. Yes and no. If you go on job search, like the thing is, I'd rather you don't take my word for everything else. It's good to do research yourself. So like, I don't have a situation where we cajole you at a roadshow, you ended up paying money, then you realize that all the seven lines. So the thing is, you check on job search, 40% of the jobs are now beginning to ask for a certification for some sort. The other 60% are just looking for experience. And that's practical. And the thing is, with high situation where new candidates come to us with a practical experience, and once they've done, they go for the certification, foundation, business analysis. It doesn't mean they get the job first.
I'm just trying to understand what can be said there.
What makes you stand out is experience, the vast experience you have, which means you have e-commerce, you have mobile, you have all that. They wouldn't want to see on your CV that you only worked in the banking industry for
Well, I'm
that.
saying that people will get market is limited kind of experience.
What makes you stand out is experience.
Limited experience.
We provide you with experience.
And it's just a week.
But it's still.
So
It's very limited.
let's look at an example. What for the last 4 years, what would you say you've done in summer for the last 5 years? 5 years. So within that, I'll be wrapping a lot of things into your CV that will touch on, yes, I've integrated payments, I've integrated customer relationship management tools, I've integrated all those things. It's an 8-week program, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to wrap this into your last 5 years.
You don't tell me coming from, but it's still from one industry. Yeah, I mean, your model's flexible.
We'll go back into more. But that's why I said to you that it becomes that one-to-one relationship will happen to look at your circumstance and see what we can build into it.
What Frank understand is, in a sometimes with industry, if you don't want to make yourself into experience, yeah, because of interview, some questions, because you might not get on time, coach yourself, work with yourself. Or you might get yourself in a very difficult situation. So what I'm looking at is, if you've got, if you want to ensure yourself having a business with mention certification, and you're trying to get into maybe starting level, rather than,
The two sides to that. I don't see 5 years or the 6 years as limited experience.
No, I'm not saying it's 6 years, I'm just saying, for example, let's say.
Okay. Like I said, in the 3 months.
Sorry to interrupt you. I can strip this out of it. If I look at the last 6 years, I think I've only applied about 4 jobs. There's only one I never got. And that was at the FA. They wanted the head of business analysis to come and work for them. It was a role for head of business analysis. And that was in 2012. Just before I secured the BBC role as a contract, but this was a full-time role. They're paying about 105K for it. They're willing to pay for 105K. The right people when they walked into the room, I just knew they were not going to do it. But the one thing I do in every interview I've done for especially around 5 or 6 years, in the moment the first question comes up, I usually stand up and go to the board and start to lecture them. Lecture them and I'm responding to a question, I'm stood up, I'm writing stuff, and I always carry there's a big massive briefcase I carry to my interview. I always call it packaging. I have my big massive architect briefcase. A lot of architects and artists that carry this big massive briefcase. I don't really tell you, I don't really get it. Just trying to make myself a bit. But every time I go into an interview, I showcase what I've done in the past. So you want to pay me £100 per day? I've got to prove to you what I have to do per day. You want to pay me over 100K? I've got to prove it to you. So before they even come into the room, I'm putting stuff on the wall. So by the time they're walking around, wow, seriously. From the first question, tell us about yourself, or what have you done over the last 5 years? Or perhaps I can start by talking through my last project. Payment system, with this, with that, I put that together. I used to interface with people, with developers in India, this and that. These are the sort of requirements we're capturing. I walked through everything. A lot of my interviews, the BBC one went to last for 45 minutes. I was there for 3 hours. They didn't want to let me go. All those rules, with the exception of the FA, the agencies call back and say, you know what, we want you to start tomorrow. They're not actually offering you this. How much is it that you want to earn is the question. If you put yourself out there and commit to what we're doing, believe me, all you have to do is go up, stand up, and you have the confidence. And even if you don't, even if you sat down there, for as long as you're expressing all these keywords and you're responding to the questions in confidence, believe me, I see no reason why you shouldn't go to the next level.
Keywords within one industry.
So
those keywords we don't want to.
you could have a 2-year. I've had university graduates that only just come up university, and I built a CV up for them, which is, you know what, you had a gap here 2 years ago. You worked as a junior BA. You finished, you still work as a junior BA. Even for a 30 or 40 grand job. Why not? Just up forward. What's the worst that will happen? But it's always down to the day. For me, you can have 10 years. I've interviewed people with 10, 15 years experience, and right from the first question, they're like, rather than, you know what, stand up and express yourself. It's always down to the other day. As far as I'm concerned.
So the thing is, working within one industry doesn't, especially working within industry, but this experience doesn't take you out of the spectrum of skills you employ. It's all about what you know, how current you are with what's happening out there.
That one industry could have different departments in it. It's the customer facing, it's the parent facing, it's how different departments and hopped about into. Why not?
I'm just thinking what I like to say, play it safe, yeah. And when I think play it safe, you could start putting it together, to go to the next one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would challenge you, and to me that's, no disrespect, I'll say that nonsense. The moment you say that, I don't want to hear junior. Because I know, based on the training I give you, you shouldn't be applying for junior.
And that's the thing, we have somebody, I wish I could show you my email. If anybody is interested, anybody that's interested, I'll show you. The thing that I remember, I won't reveal his surname. Just last week, we had somebody who applied. I'll bring it up in a minute.
Okay.
You end up
Okay.
The feedback they gave him is you'd be more suited as a senior BA. Absolutely. You'd be more suited. Because the normal BA would not do that, right? The normal BA would not write an acceptance criteria. And there's so many other things. The normal BA would only be concerned with one tool, which is one Microsoft Visio. You know, anybody who's worked in the industry for 10 years as a BA will only come up with one tool set, professional room, whatever, just one tool set. Well, we give you tools to make sure you stand out, and that's why we give you practical experience. We make sure you're writing requirements in Jira, which is the most up-to-date tool out there. Jira, where your requirements in Jira. You're writing acceptance criteria for your requirements. Not every BA is required to do that. We just do it just to show how good we are. You write acceptance criteria so that you can work well with the test. And not only that, you can use right process maps, you can use use cases. All those things are things that a normal BA will normally get after 5 years. We're making sure that you can learn and do all these things within.
I had an interview question some time ago. They were asking me, how do you capture requirements? Now, it's been easy for me to say, oh, I can capture, I capture requirements using Jira or this or that. So I can use Microsoft Visio, I can use Excel, I can use an abacus. And I challenge them, I say, it's not about the requirements to capture, it's about, you know, capturing the requirements from the right stakeholders, asking the right questions, understanding the customer journey, the business rules, the preconditions, what we're trying to get out of it, using, and these are the sort of things that spark back at them. And I said, you know what, she gave me a job. This is what we're looking for, not just a mechanical. No, it's not about the tool.
Yeah,
it's not about the tools. Do you have what it takes to ask the right question?
What tools are you going to give me? What am I going to work with? Fine, you get access to Jira, you get access to so many other tools, Microsoft is doing all that. But that's not what makes you to be. What makes you to be is what you have up there, how you explain yourself. And the thing is that comes from a testing background. In comparison to what I would normally be asked in an interview for testing, BA interview is totally rewarding. For testing, if you're being asked a question at an interview, technical SQL, just don't worry about it.
Okay, cool.
So you need to talk about SQL, C#, JavaScript, all those fancy words. But when I now came into being a BA, and I've been asked questions as to, okay, what do you do as a BA? So just mostly, how do you deal with stakeholder management? Simple questions. They want to see how you really talk to people. In a BA interview, all you're looking at is, can you hold a conversation? Can you communicate?
We had a candidate that started a couple of weeks ago, and I said to her that, look, I think in the interview she found out that, you know, the interviewer was a level 4 fan. I said, well, we just thumped, was it Arsenal 5-1 or something, 3-4 weeks ago? So all the people that play, go and learn about the FA, go and learn about football, go and learn all this, because half of them might just be talking football, half of them might be talking rugby, and the other half of them be capturing requirements. That's part of engagement. Go to the pub with them if you have to.
Yeah, the first interview I went for at Network, they came in with a hangover. So I'm just saying that when I was working as a tester, I didn't get all this crap. The kind of questions they're asking me is based on, so how did you go about writing your requirements? How did you go about booking a meeting? Of course I didn't know Microsoft Outlook. You know, but little simple questions. They're not trying to figure out if, oh, you know how to type code, or these are simple questions of how do you manage a problem with a stakeholder? Those are the simple questions you'll be asking. So it's not, we're not trying to make you learn something that's so difficult before. It's something that is all about building a relationship and building a conversation around people without being stakeholders. So that's what we do. No?
Okay. I think I just want to close and say thank you to you guys for coming in. If it's something that we should take on the next step with us, then just stay behind and speak to Grace. And we do have details of our website as well. And,
The training will be starting next Saturday.
sorry, this is Saturday, next Saturday is this year. It's the holiday.
You don't need to still alive.
Is that on the
Yeah, I think it's a Saturday after. Yeah. We'll check on the
This Saturday is 17th.
Yeah, but we only have transport links, right? So it's definitely the 17th. Middle of Easter. So I'll just confirm the date. Yeah, it's gonna be here. It's gonna be here, same place. Doing here, same place. It's gonna start from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. to 8 hours every Saturday. The only Saturday we're not gonna be running is on the 3rd of May. It's gonna be, we're gonna confirm the date. So I'm free the 3rd of May.
Okay.
I got it. So it's gonna be I think it's 19th actually. 19th, 26th. 19th, 26th. Yeah, 18th is Friday. So 19th, 26th, 10, and 17. That's for the standard BA. If you're going to go for the introduction to IT, which will be the 5th Saturday, will be the 24th as well. 24th of May. If you decide to go for longer 5 weeks. And like I said, the offer only applies, the discount only applies for today.
If we decide to do it,
People don't want to leave the booking and so. So you still pay.
So you can't join in between. So the school session, you have to wait for session that next week, for the next 4 weeks, before you can actually join another one that will come up.
That's the thing. We normally have sessions in Manchester, we normally have sessions in London. So the next time we're going to be able to be into July, August.
Because we're on small sessions, we tend to walk around different points.
Yeah.
We're not kind of like, for example, you mentioned carriers, the days in London, for example. So the people that I think back in the days will leave over to Manchester, spend 60 something per day to go over there. So we tend to go to Manchester, things, London, Portsmouth, and stuff like that.
Just trying to see the start
So
date.
I've got to check the dates
One
again.
another test drive. But this ends in May. So the month of June, we're going to be having a lot of June, and July is next month.
Have you all this instructed on the website?
So
Yeah.
the dates, do we have dates?
We have the roadshow dates.
We have the virtual dates, which these are the next sort of small events we're having for this area.
But not the start date for the first week.
No, no.
You can always inquire by email or just give us something.
So, if you want to join, we have your card straight here. You have code interested.
You can take payments over the phone. It's still the same process. We take payments over the phone, debit card, credit card. So sometimes people only have half of the payment by cash, and the other half is because we have the other credit card. We take probably half cash, half credit card, whatever.
If I decide to do a baby one, then I come back to one.
I guess you can register today and then before when you can.
Put it this way, that's it, easy. We'll be very, we'll be free. Is that fair enough? That sounds good. The only thing I want from you is you're going to be standing at 10 to 6 p.m.
You can't pay that much money.
And remember, it's on Saturday, so actually we have what, 7 days left?
So you should.
Oh, we cut it. Seriously, you're talking about money here. You're talking
I
about.
don't know everything goes on the other side.
Those
Wow.
people that are making their money, man.
You're just helping them out.
if you go for the filling thing, the activity,
Yes.
The very one time.
so how is that?
Sorry?
The very one time. It used to be, I'm not always back then.
Do you know what? When he was asking about the agile and the working, I'm agile.
No, actually, I think I'm all the time.
No, I'm agile. And that's it. That last Saturday.
Some of them work well, it just depends on the project.
So that last Saturday. Personality, that's very time. I run it with it.
We're ready to go for it.
That's it. We go for it. We face the challenges as we go rather than thinking like just staying
It
there.
helps that both of you are doing quite similar.
You get it tested, you go for it, you get it tested training. People that finish the before.
I used to be in time work back in the days, but I realized that I haven't thought there. I haven't used my holidays. I just get paid for it.
So you can
And
get the extra.
there's no difference, no major difference between full-time and contract. The only area is that time staff is to their monthly tax. So the contract of 6
You don't
months,
necessarily need
tax,
to,
yeah.
but it helps
No
you
major
understand.
difference, things change, private laws change a lot.
From end to end.
Well,
Yeah.
sorry.
I do have an idea.
The other way
We
around.
can communicate well, I think we need a commitment. And the way we structure the course, the way we handle it.
You pay, it doesn't affect.
You pay.
It's almost like when you're not having to do on the last Saturday,
You
have
pay
that.
gradual.
That's what we mean.
Sorry, that's the word.
Unfortunately, because, I mean, not just
No, you
we'll
wouldn't have lost it.
fill it the small
Because
payment,
remember,
we'll rather have a. Rather
So you
just
still
an
learn
ask where it
But
becomes
then
merged.
it makes sense.
Just to be the back end as well. It becomes merged and there's no.
Let's not go near the
Yeah.
back. So
I
yes,
mean, to be fair, like, if I remember, we have an individual who paid half before Saturday and next Saturday for the other half. That was how flexible we were to get to with the London session, and we stopped to do it as well. But back in the days, we used to do like, we used to lend over a 4 or 5 month period, like, we had
and yes, you need a laptop as well. You know, a working laptop. Teaches us the question. You definitely need to come into work with a laptop or a computer. If you can carry a computer, have fun. But come in with something you can work with. So you can go back on the device. Because there'll be lots of assignments. The only reason why it's successful in COVID is people do
The
assignments.
commitment is very important.
And it has to be in the no, people coming back.
The only downside with Mac is you have to download from the graphical instead of Microsoft versus Maps. That's the only difference.
Every tool we use is online. Don't
We'll give you Microsoft easier, definitely.
So, anybody that makes this,
Anybody else? Anybody?
anybody that goes to the training, actually is a job.
Quite a lot of people have. But as I said, it boils down to commitment. If I look at Manchester, for example, we had about 9 or 10. Out of the 9 or 10, there was one individual from day one. I just knew. Within 5-10 minutes, I would know. I just knew I was not going to get much from him. You know, he's into the religious aspect of things. So whilst he was, you know, during the training, he was texting about this church and that.
He's a pastor.
After a while, I had to ask him, do you want your money back? No, I still want to sit down and do this. You know, by the end of the first Saturday, no assignment. Second Saturday, no assignment. You know, and everybody else were like going ahead. From there, by the second Saturday, I said, look, can I just see the assignment you agreed to last week? My handshake with yourself last week. When I looked at it, I actually put everything on the wall. And I said, if you want to ask me any question in terms of what you needed to do, that is it over there. Because I was just one of about 3 individuals. They've done the work so beautifully, and they used all the right tools. They took some time off, went to the library on, you know, the previous day, got things out of the way, and they put it there. By the second week, the same individual. So I've always said, if you need to be doing great work, that's the level you need to get. And that's how it is. You know, for as long as commitment is there, I've always said 8 weeks, and it's a good time because in that 8-week period, you're getting emails from you, we're pushing, we're going to conference call. The time they will even say to you, you book a conference call, you did this session for the first 15 minutes, pass it on to him to live for the next 15 minutes. Why are we doing this? We're trying to replicate a real environment.
No, it's not just, I think that is changing the whole thing. It's not just 4 weeks. After 4 weeks, we're going to have a conference call and everybody else to make sure that you guys are aware.
Get a bit of feedback, how we doing? The students outstanding from you, how we coping, because without all those assignments in place, I cannot say, you know what, we're going to put a seed there. So what are you going to do then if you have an action for the work? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you all for coming in today. If you have any questions,
It's in the call.
Yeah, sure.
What part of it? Ah, okay. Roger, that's a new MK. Nice, nice, nice. How do you hear about it? Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. So, this one. Yes, that's you're right. You're right. That must have been a long time ago. Oh, really?
No.
Oh, really? Wow. It always scares me when I go to London because I get a bigger crowd. I'm not so conscious. The last one was very challenging, but it was good. You know, I think people appreciate the fact that we are upfront and honest about it, unless they know what to get before they come to us. We've got that detail down. It's obviously. What are you thinking about?
Nothing, I'm actually thinking about football.
Wow.
Who is Chelsea playing today?
You like to football, that's
Very excited. Well, that's going to tomorrow, so I'm just going to say that. I missed two.
You have live? You must watch it, or you like to watch it live? That helps. That makes a difference.
That is it. Are you guys doing Monkey as well?
No, that's what I was asking about the number one.
Where are you based?
When I got the number one. I saw the advert on Jill's house. So I followed it, and at the time, at that time we were in Bamford. So that's when I registered for the
Yes. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's just holiday. Yeah.
Give me a number. Let me take a number.
How busy is it?
How many days did you die? Yeah.
How busy?
I don't know what.
Like, I mean, when I say, you know, like.
Number of people. We normally have a maximum of
50.
We never had one. Everybody at the same point. So after that, so one person will like that at the roadshow and the rest. As soon as the roadshow is finished, people start from the register and then we have only 2 seats left.
Yes.
And then it's our dates never guaranteed.
Is this happening?
It's still depends on feedback we get. So if we're on the roadshow and nobody's interested, you like
So,
There's no point, so there's no point in me going for my roadshow and people are like, no, I don't really want to go. And then I go ahead and vote myself. So July is the only expensive. That's why I can imagine this big for the kids working.
No, but these are like parents. But they are still.
You're responsible. That's how it works.
We'll talk to you.
Okay.
You have to know what it is. Well, we're definitely because of
This is not product, which is
Well,
the form of challenge. So what are we talking about? How many different things are we going to buy? Website, online, this, that, social. How is that? Yes, sir. Have a good day. To do a rule, the first question I want to ask is, do you have any sort of understanding of bank? Have you worked in a bank? Because these are banking products. If you've done a little bit of banking basics, well, that would help. If not,
But it wasn't banking, it wasn't.
I'll say it. Sarah, e-commerce websites and stuff like that. Yeah. Because this is more product of the bank, you know, it's actually said something there.
Yeah.
Um,
I just took this one because they are Spanish bank, so I know they hire Spanish people, and that's in front of school.
you speak Spanish? You speak Spanish? Okay. You speak Spanish, and you have an Aussie background. Is that linked to banking area?
No, it was with the community, and in England, I don't have any real experience.
So that's interesting, because some of these interviews you go to, because you have that language experience and you like it, you can take them as you know, like, show them. If you're looking at it as a full-time or not contract, so they're not easy on you. So, nothing stopping from saying, you just look for this software online. See if you can buy one license, or you can actually practice in it. But that also means you need to have a little bit of marketing because
I did conferences, so I don't know what kind of market.
It could be about demographics because we're talking about customer data and trend. So it could be that it's this tool here that will help you with that trend. The thing is, for me, this will be a minor risk because you've got that language. Very important. But if I was going to say, let's put some tools together in the future and talk a little about this. So, what is it the same? Maybe consider doing that. If they're more interested in the language, because a lot of what we're doing is you change it.
But will they have, you know,
That's why I said they like you. They like that, and they see they like what they see that. Which is, you know, what the energy people can go and fast like. You know. Well, if you look at all these things, how will they marketing because this is like the competency-based interview where they say, well, there are lots of data here.
I can deal with data, that's not a problem, because I was doing it. So
Cool.
there was a lot of data, but that doesn't mean, I don't know how analytical it is. So it's different. So.
What about things around Excel access? Can
Yeah.
you do VLOOKUPs? Can you join tables?
What's easy? Yeah, but no.
I'm getting lots of no's from you and yes, and I'd say, let's do it. But nothing seems to touch it in China. Because this is a specific company against or something like that. An agency.
If you go to an agency once and the wasn't satisfactory, then I'm not going to represent you again. But because it's something better, nothing stops us from grooming a nice, well, positive CV.
Yeah.
Good and very nice.
I know,
That's very good.
but,
Well, the first thing is Google this and find out what is true.
okay, it will be, it's highly renewable, so it's not that
There
it
will
will
be
be
more.
there.
There will be
Yeah,
more.
there will be
Quite
more.
similar.
Have a look.
So, I mean, look out for other ones as well, but you can idea.
Yeah, that's why I brought this. So
So
you
the
could
thing
tell
is,
me,
to be
okay,
honest-
yes, if you do the training, yeah,
Yeah.
we will cover this, and this, so you.
Well, the funny thing about this is, it doesn't want to look like a few words. It's not to take the air. The only thing that's supposed to be this way. It's not your market.
And it says not essential.
Oh, see, not essential. Let's take over. This is more of a marketing kind of. Okay, because you're analyzing this, you could argue that as part of business analysis, and that you know, it's more trend analysis. If you're looking at the role value, you can do this for something.
I really don't know, that's the money what I'm looking for, and that's me.
Actually,
If you want to come with training, see what it takes because it will cover for core business analysis goals. And that will expand your skill set definitely. Because from then on, I tell you what, the first Saturday, if you go into job share, you start to say, I can do that now. I know what I mean. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're doing. You start to be able to expand on that aspect. And so you're not just limited to this area.
I think that, think about what we do like, that is the retail, is in, you know, that, is it like commerce, like selling, like setting type of website and all that stuff, and then you have a picture that you have so like sitting and rest of the stuff.
And that's what I want someone coming to do. Market time, even myself, if you see how you, and then that's not the whole job spec that you send to us.
I have to think about it. Yes, I'm not representative. So,
So there's a decision there, or
it's not that, it's, we were talking about, you know, the fact that, oh, yes, there will be changes, and you have a little one, and of course, you know, it's not going to say yes, I'm not going to meet you. So it's going to be me who's going to go home and take care of the child. So they want me, it's like, very happy, they want you to be on it.
Thinking about
So it's a question of how I started to do it. Just go through it and then, you know, look at your like, yeah, that's not very, I don't
supportive.
Yeah.
I think,
Like, I'm worried too much.
I think we should think about not company right now, whatever, I think that focus on the experience already. And then even the editing focus.
I think you're coming on it and pay.
You know what I mean?
So there's lots of roles there. And Coventry, there's still roles.
Where I mean, that's actually just about
Northampton is fine. Northampton, I want to
Yeah.
Some are all
Doesn't have to be.
No, it doesn't. NHS is fine. But it's like a kind of management. Yes, I have done the course, and I do have some experience, which is, okay, very much leading forward to, but, you know, I was in companies, which is the, for example, for project, and was like years, so I think, and they were not things. So I do have the experience, but it doesn't seem to gel with the yes, you have it, and yes.
Yeah, but that's what every organization has their own rules.
For me, for the management, back to the down. Basically, other projects. And just have a regular update on what I don't have it. I worked on my master's degree about 10 years ago, about it because I realized that it's not about how many things I've done or education wise, it's about what can I do today.
I don't think, yeah, I don't think that From the coach studio.
How much did it cost you?
I didn't have to pay it.
It's still the average about £2 grand now.
Well, I think it was cheaper than that. Probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think yeah, I think it was more like closer to 1,000 because they don't pay. I don't know the way it is now.
You didn't do that well.
No. And
And the contract you get better paid again. Yes. That's an interesting one, I would say. I wouldn't know what I would say. When you expand that knowledge and that skill set, you need to see any way. How do you feel about it? Oh,
that's
right. Very nice.
Thank you, bye.
How did you hear about it?
yeah. Okay, it's very good business.
Right, okay.
But
So,
we're friends.
okay, I've got to give him a call and thank him. He's awesome. He did set up with what's one of the about. No.
So training, maybe
I think that's the lessons I say in London.
Yeah, he was fine.
You live in London? Not too bad. That's good.
this is your initial boss.
It's obviously.
My dad's boss. He
Okay.
was his, no, his initial GOS.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys coming. You're gonna enjoy the rest of the day.
No problem.
You guys accepted?
I have to ask the one with the money.
Oh, yeah.
If he wants to pay for that.
He dare not say no. He knows what will happen. He knows what will happen if he says no.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay. Bye-bye.
I think I do.
Let's see how I can find out. What I'm doing, no. We'll find no talk. I'm not doing it. No.
How long have you been working for?
3 hours and 2 o'clock. Oh, 3:15. Come on. Sit on one side. I'm not